Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show today. It's very happy to have you here. Hopefully, you all had yourselves a really good weekend. Mine was crazy and chaotic, but you know, that's kind of my life. So a little bit used to it. Oh, I don't know. Maybe. Hi, Thundera.
Hola.
I
How is
see
Chester?
you're playing a roughneck again today.
A roughneck?
Hmm.
What's that mean?
Isn't that Kurt Angle? No,
No, that's
that's
Randy Orton.
Randy Orton. Well, about the same.
Not anymore. He came back last night. They had their Survivor Series because he'd been gone for like 18 months, something like that. He was hurt, and he finally came back, and he is a monster. He's the biggest he's ever been. He's in the best shape I've ever seen him. He is absolutely just shredded. He
Oh,
has to weigh at least 260, 270 pounds of
oh,
muscle.
geez.
He's just a
He
beast. Yeah,
bulkhead, huh? No, Randy is the quintessential wrestler. He's everything. He's the total package.
he
You know,
is. And he made that face. He walked out and walked past the camera and made that face, and that face is funny to me. So, but
it is
it's
funny.
funny.
I can see it, and I agree that it's funny. But yeah, no, it's Randy is another great legacy wrestler. The thing about Kurt Angle though, it's too bad about his neck and all those injuries. But the thing about Kurt is he's surprisingly funny.
Yeah, he's got great timing.
He does.
Great timing.
Randy, not so much. I mean, it's okay. I
No,
mean, he's
no,
fine,
he's
but
not a youngster.
no,
Not a
he's not.
youngster.
It's not his character. He's the Viper, after all.
Yeah,
You know.
that's right.
Old Kurt. When he started
And
doing the
they
comedy bits, I was like, huh?
they did this crazy spot. So they had a War Games match, which is a double cage, double ring situation, and all the good guy. It was a big 5-on-5 match. All the good guys had one of the bad guys, right at the end of the match, trapped on top of the cage. They threw him off
Oh,
the
did
top of
they?
the cage, and Randy Orton caught him in an RKO. It was awesome.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh, I would hate to have been the guy who had to take that bump.
How do you practice for that? Gee,
You
you just
don't.
brought Randy back and you put him in a situation like that? Jeez.
He caught him. He nailed it perfectly.
Well, Randy,
Uh,
like I said, he's the total package. That mainly includes keeping the other wrestlers safe, right?
yeah, yeah. No, it was a really good. I missed like the first, I don't know, like 45 minutes of it because I was doing stuff. But when I finally sat down to start watching some of it, it was a really good show. They WWE, they're just the best at what they do. And
They
when
are.
they're cooking, when they're really cooking, it's just so much fun. It's just
It
fun. It's
is.
just fun to watch.
Unfortunately,
And
they've
they've
let a
been
lot
cooking.
drop, but you're right.
Yeah, last night they did very well. They had Randy Orton come back, and then right at the end of the show, they got everybody. See, I've been watching wrestling my whole life, Chester. I'm almost 39 years. Next week, I'll be 39 years old. I've been watching wrestling for probably about 36 of those years. I'd
I'd
say
imagine.
37,
Yeah.
somewhere in there. And they don't usually get me. It's pretty rare when they surprise me when I don't see something coming. But the end of that show surprised the shit out of me. So they were in Chicago, and there had been rumors that CM Punk was going to come back
Yeah.
after all this time and all this stuff. And everybody, some people expected it, some people didn't, some people didn't know, but they're hopeful, whatever. But they had been doing this story throughout the entire pay-per-view that Randy wasn't going to show up because he was mad at one of the other guys in his team, right? So Randy wasn't there throughout the whole story. Randy wasn't there throughout the whole show. Randy wasn't there. They started the final match without Randy there. Everything. And then right at the last possible seconds, Randy does show up, comes out, has his big entrance. The crowd goes absolutely ape shit for him because it's
Right.
Randy Orton, and he gets his moment. And I'm like, all right, so Punk isn't there. That's all right though. At least Randy's back. They do the match, everything's going good, and then the Randy's team wins because of course he just came back, and they start doing they have to put the copyright logo in the corner, and when they put the copyright logo in the corner, it felt like it was too soon, and it was. And they started to do like a wide shot and pull way back on the crowd. I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute. They're screwing with us because I knew there's only one reason they would do that shot, and that was if they were about to make the crowd go crazy. And they did because right as they pulled that camera back, CM Punk's music hit. and they're in Chicago. That's his town, and they went just bonkers. That whole place was shaking for a good 3 or 4 minutes straight, if not longer, and then they just fade out on CM Punk being back.
Yeah,
But
CM can get a pop. What's his entry music again? Dun, dun, dun,
cult,
dun, dun,
no,
dun, dun, dun. No, that's not it.
no, it's Cult of Personality. Um, but
That was
yeah,
for
it
you.
was just a
It
great
was for
show.
you. So
Thank you. It
you're
was just
welcome.
a great show. It's kind of sucks though, because Cena was back for a little while because they couldn't work at Hollywood because they were shut down. So he came back to wrestle for a little while, a few months, and he did his matches and whatever. But now Punk, one of his biggest rivals, and Orton, his biggest rival, are both back, and he's not even going to do anything with them because he's gone. Right? He's back to working in Hollywood, and when he's working in Hollywood, he's not really unless he's in between contracts for movies, he's not really allowed to wrestle. Like he's literally not allowed to wrestle in his contracts
Yeah,
because
but
they don't
that's
want him to
kind
get
of for
hurt.
the best, don't you think?
Well, but I'm just saying it could have been cool to have nice blow off match with his big rivals instead of just doing random matches with people he doesn't really have any connection to.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it makes sense. But I mean, it's Hollywood. WWE is Hollywood, so or a reduced version of it. But Dave says that he is here. We s-
He has
we we
arrived.
we acknowledge your presence, Dave. And then he immediately is completely wrong. Shocking.
Uh oh.
Yeah, Lex
Uh
Luger was the total package. No, no, Dave.
oh. Technically, he's right. That was his name, the total
Yeah,
package.
I know.
Now, unfortunately, he wasn't because the
No,
dude couldn't talk to save his life. But
no, no, no. I mean, you could use Lex quite effectively, and they did.
yeah,
They did a good job with Lex. Didn't he like die real young or something?
no, he's still alive.
Is
He
he?
he
Oh,
killed
that's good.
everybody else though. You see, he
I
was a
see.
he was a toxin to everybody in his life because of the drugs and everything. So
I see.
a whole bunch of people around him died, and then he repented and started and gave himself over to the Lord and has been living as a good Christian boy ever since. Um, and that's what he does now. As far as I know, I'm pretty sure that's all he does. Is he's like some kind of minister or something.
Oh, well, that's good, I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me go over here and hit the like button. I can't share. Well, I already did. The Twitter automatically shares because someone stole my Facebook.
Just straight thieved it, did they?
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause some
Thieves.
it says Ashley Whitaker 07244201, but I don't think that's probably the real name. But yeah, and I don't understand why would you steal a Facebook page?
Just to scam people
How?
because boomers are stupid, and a pretty girl or a picture of one
Am I a pretty
starts
girl?
talking to them. No, no, they'll eventually put up pictures of a very pretty girl, most likely.
I see.
They'll put up these pictures, and then they'll start talking to these old lonely men and get them to send them gift cards and
I
da da
see.
da 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 stuff like that. Or what they'll do is they'll go on the marketplace
Hmm.
and they'll do like Venmo scams where they'll offer something, right? They'll be selling a couch, right? And then they'll say, "Well, I got a lot of people interested in this couch. So if you want it, I'm going to need a deposit of X amount." And then some idiot falls for that, sends them the money, and then they ghost them. There's really not much anything anybody can do because they're probably not even in this country.
I see. Well, so just so you guys know, if I try to sell you something on Facebook, it ain't me because you guys know I have no time to do shit like that anyway. But the thing with that is that account was 20 years old. I mean, when Facebook first started, or at least within the first year, I started that
Mhm.
account, and it's got all the people on it. It's got several thousand people on it, and a whole bunch of other stuff I done. But I just don't know if I can be bothered. I tried to go and look in how I'd get it back, and then of course that requires you to log on with an account, which I can't do because it
Yeah.
says that my email, which I've been using for longer than that, Facebook has been around, doesn't exist. I'm like, well, that's good. I guess 20 years of using it, it doesn't exist. I guess they don't do very good accounting over there at Facebook.
No, they
Um,
don't care.
I guess they don't
Never
give a
give a
shit.
shit. No.
And I was just like, yeah, well, it means I got to do this. I got to create another account. I got to have to go through all this nonsense, talk to bots, and probably never talk to a human, and ultimately probably get no result. And I was like,
No.
was that really worth it? Do I really care? I never
No.
use it. The only time I use it is literally here when I share.
So I personally, me, this guy, have been banned from Facebook
Uh-huh.
since 2020,
Okay.
and they banned me because I said, and I quote, "Women should not run the world." That was exactly the phrase, the exact
Hmm.
wording,
Hmm.
and that was apparently too much for the Facebook overlords. They couldn't handle that on their platform, and they outright banned me for life. And the kicker, Chester, they also banned my wife.
Why?
So there
What
you
did she
go.
do?
I She did nothing.
I see. Well, I never used
um,
it, so I couldn't get banned from it. Although I don't know. There, it depends on the woman, to be fair. I would be more my terms would be a little bit more open. YouTube, that don't let liberals be in charge of bureaucracy. That's better.
so
No, well,
women
it's
got it.
true though. It's true. I mean, they're good for think tanks and ideas and visionary stuff. That's all great. But as far as management, now you need a conservative person. I could care less what political party they're with, but you need a conservative person to manage things. You just
Yeah.
do. Yeah. If you don't,
Well,
you get runaway inflation and all kind of nonsense that we see happen with the various liberals, and I'm not even talking
so
progressives here. I'm just talking liberals.
last year, last summer, um, 2022 summer, I randomly decided to see because I have a new computer now, and I randomly decided to see if maybe it would let me make an alt account on Facebook, and it did, and I've had it since then. I don't use it for anything but marketplace, buy and sell stuff on there,
Yeah.
um, but I've had it since then, and I've had no trouble. But I didn't miss it at all. That those 2 years, to be honest with you, like maybe for like the first couple weeks, I was like, ah, because it was just part of my routine. Hey, what's on Facebook, right? Check Facebook.
Yeah.
But after that, I was just like, nah, I'm good. I don't need
Yeah.
it. Twitter's better for getting like instant news anyway. Uh, so I would just use that for that, and that's where I get information from if I need to know what's going on in the world. And I'm gonna tell you right now, Chester, it's weird that so many people in the world feel this urge to be connected,
Hmm.
right? We have to be all have to be connected at all times.
Hmm.
When you're not anymore, you realize how little things matter.
Oh yeah.
Most of the stuff people freak out about on the internet, it just don't matter. It,
No.
it's not really going to bother your life or affect you directly, most likely. So it just doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And that's it. That can be a kind of a cruel reality because sometimes things that are happening are terrible.
Mm.
But if it's 10,000 miles away, what are you getting all upset about? Like you could
It's true.
if you couldn't change it, then you couldn't have stopped it. So what are you freaking out about?
Hmm.
Calm
It's
down.
fair comedy though.
Yeah. Well, no, that's what it should be for. If we all
Yeah.
could just accept that nobody is important, n- there's like 3 people alive today that'll be
Mhm.
remembered in 500 years. Nobody
Well,
else matters.
yeah, I know. I've made this
And
point before. Yeah.
we could just chill the fuck out. Just
Yep.
chill the fuck out.
Yeah, just chill
Calm
out,
down.
man.
I'm
Be
not
be
saying there's
be
not things you
happy.
should work for or care about. That's fine, but
Hmm.
at the end of the day, you're gonna die.
Oh
You're
yeah.
not getting out. You're not the one. You're not
It's
the
true.
one who's just gonna be, nah, I'm not doing it. You're
Hmm.
going down. So chill out. Just calm down. It ain't
It's
that
true.
serious. I promise you, it ain't that serious.
I mean, look at George Soros. I mean, if anybody could buy their way out of death, you would think.
He would have done it, or
Hmm.
one of the Rothschilds. They'd have had that done.
Yeah.
But no, they're
Yeah.
still dying.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, other than good fun, I don't really care about any of that anyway,
Yeah,
because I mean, when it comes right down to it, we complain about these things and that, it's all good fun. But these companies can do whatever they want with their IP.
sure.
I mean, it's
And they're
their
gonna.
IP. You do whatever you want to do. So
Right.
can I.
Truth of the matter is, they're going to do whatever the hell they want,
Yeah.
regardless. And the only thing that'll stop them is if they ever run out of money. But
Hmm.
considering most of these companies are bigger than governments, I don't think that's going to happen
Well,
anytime
some of
soon.
them are. That is true. Like BlackRock is larger than most governments on Earth. It's
Yeah.
pretty impressive. Ben wants us to have a CM Punk chat. Well, you come in here and have it then, Ben. Me personally, I've
Yeah.
never been a big fan
Ben.
of CM Punk.
See, there's a few. I was talking to Grimlock about this last night because we were talking about it as it happened, and I told him I'm a jaded wrestling fan. Been watching wrestling my whole life. Like I said, there's a very few people in wrestling that'll make me quote mark out that I actually am a fan of, not
Yeah.
just like tangentially, like oh he's a good wrestler. No, I actually enjoy their work, and Punk's one of them. And guys like Austin the Rock obviously are also guys like that, but there's very few people who would actually make me excited to see do anything, right? So with him coming back to WWE where he belonged and where he should have been years ago, if they could have all just stopped being a bunch of assholes. And again, hey, maybe that could just be the theme of today, Chester. Just chill the fuck out.
Chill,
Just chill out. And none
chill
of it's
out,
that
man.
serious. Just chill out, bro.
Go back and
Um,
watch some Cheech and Chong and learn. Be
yeah,
educated.
listen to him.
Hmm.
Listen to him just once.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know. It's just very he's one of those guys for me, one of those wrestlers that I really really like. I always have. And there was a time when I stopped watching wrestling thanks to old John Cena, old Juan Cena himself, and
Hmm.
Punk is what got me back into watching it. Now there's a lot of people like that, by the way. There's a lot of people who were lapsed wrestling fans and they came back because Punk was interesting.
Yeah, that
And
would be a good idea to have him do another character called Juan because a lot of people forget, but his whole thing started with him doing the hippity hops, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
he can't sell him as a mulatto, but you could
No.
say that he's a Mexican.
It's funny you say
We
that
could do
because
that.
in the Fast and the Furious movies,
Yeah.
he plays Dom's brother, Dominic's brother.
Oh, well, that doesn't make
Uh,
any sense at all.
listen,
Yeah.
listen. All right, I'm going to tell you something. The new Fast and Furious movie, Fast X, came out this year,
Hmm.
and for some reason, Toretto's brother, or I'm sorry, not Toretto's brother, his son is black as can be.
Uh-huh.
He's straight up a black kid.
Okay.
I said, "Excuse me."
I thought he
He
had a
has a.
little
By the
Latino
way,
girlfriend.
no, no, wait. His mom is a white chick,
Uh-huh.
and I don't know what Vin Diesel is, but he's definitely not pure black. So
Well, he ain't black.
how how did this how did
Yeah,
this happen?
they
How
don't
did that
care.
happen?
They don't care about that. Complete disrespect of the mulattoes like our good friend Grimlock here. Yeah, it's not right.
Um, as
Ain't right.
as the resident mutt of the group, I can tell you that happens actually. That actually happens often.
Just
Yeah, it
random
You
does.
blackness.
come out, you come out light as fuck, like me and my sister, or you come out darker, like my brothers did.
Hmm.
It's fairly common.
Hmm. Hmm.
You can if you fuck enough, if you're doing your swirling right, if you fuck enough,
Hmm.
you can literally get every fucking color of the spectrum.
So it depends on the angle of the ejaculant. Oh, fair.
I don't know, but I just put it like this: when you have a kid and it's not the shade of your approval, keep fucking, you'll get it.
There you go. There you go. Well,
Oh no.
yeah, that didn't really work out in my case. But then again, uh, you know,
Well, see, you
um,
only stopped after a couple. That was your problem. You were supposed to say, "Wife, take a breather, get some water, back in the bedroom."
yeah, no, no, boy, girl, done. Good enough. Good enough. But yeah, it depend. No, mainly the reason we didn't have more kids because my wife unfortunately has those things they call the morning sickness for the
Oh,
entire pregnancy
Oof.
twice. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, it's enough. But Dave here is talking about the value of Facebook, and he's probably right. But you got to keep in mind, Dave, I don't live in the States. Yeah.
Yeah, do you guys have over there? I'm sure there's got to be something that's basically Facebook Marketplace is just a big garage sale, right? That's all it is. Or yard sale, whatever. Is there something like that in Japan? Is there like a website where people can just post stuff, use
Hmm.
stuff for sale, or
It's
how's
called
that work?
Yahoo.
Is it Yahoo auctions?
Yeah. Yeah, no, the
Gotcha.
Japanese, I don't know the official history, but I would put money on the fact that they bought Yahoo.
Mm.
And it is the Japanese website, basically. It's what they use. Even if they use Google, it's all JP. And I have so many times I had to tell my students because I couldn't find it. I said, "Are you using JP or .com? Are you typing in English or Japanese?" Oh,
Hmm.
God, I'll slap a bitch next time. I swear to God. Um, but no, they use Yahoo. They use Yahoo for everything. And if they want to communicate, they use Line. Some of the youngins do the Instagram a little bit here or there. I haven't seen TikTok take over very strongly here. Instagram seems to have a bigger hold, but not really. Yeah, mainly they use Line here. But then again, this culture is very different. So, you know,
It's interesting.
so that's that. But yeah, so if you guys see me trying to sell anything on Facebook, don't you believe it, because I wouldn't do that anyway. But I don't. My Facebook is gone. It's gone.
That would be a lot of hassle being all the way in Japan trying to sell something on Facebook in America.
Yeah, no,
That
it'd
would be
be
a lot
real
of hassle.
noisy. I mean, it depends on what you're selling, I suppose. You could do it, but I just don't have a need for it. I got plenty. I
Yeah,
got enough of the monies. I don't need to worry about the monies. So, of
the monies
course,
are in order. What you're
yeah. Well,
saying.
I'm a guy, though. I guess if you ask my wife, that is never a truthful statement.
That's true. I could seriously live off of just ridiculously low amounts of money
Yeah,
because very very easy
Mm.
to please. Give me a little bit of food, video game, I'm good.
yeah,
That's
dude.
it.
I don't
I'm
even
set.
see money. I have no money. I have a couple of coins in my little wallet. You know, I never
Oh
see
no,
money. Well, I don't need it. I never use money.
Asians,
He does,
Asians, man.
however, need another yacht.
See, it's so weird because I know over there that's just super normal,
It is. Yeah,
right? The woman handles all the finances, and
they
it's
do.
been that way for fucking ever. But over here, it's it's normal, but it's not like normalized. If that makes sense. So like most households in America, the female makes 80% of the purchases or something like that. Is the it's
All
something like that.
across the world. Yeah.
Yeah. And but yet we have this standard that the man is supposed to be the, in charge of these things.
Hmm.
And it's just interesting to me. I find that dichotomy very interesting. But I'm
Well,
the complete opposite, Chester. I'm in complete control of my finances, and that's how my wife would prefer it. In fact, she would much rather not have to worry
well,
about it as much.
you can do either or. I mean, I don't think
Yeah.
it really matters. But one thing I would say that would does benefit it doing it this way is the fact that if you don't give the responsibility to the women, they will not be responsible.
Yeah.
As often as not. If you give them a responsibility for the finances, they'll think twice about buying that extra Gucci bag.
Oh yeah.
You see
No,
what I'm
I'm
saying?
lucky. My wife's not a spender. I'm more of the spender than she is.
Yeah.
And I don't spend hardly anything. Well, she'll spend stuff on like animals, but other than that, she's not really a spender on herself. I have to make her buy things for herself
Yeah.
all the time. She
Well,
just won't do it.
Japanese are radically frugal anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just their nature. They just don't. They're not like Western people. They don't spend money. When I buy something, it's usually expensive. I don't buy a lot of things. It's rare, but usually when there's a big purchase, I'm making it, not her. Even if it is for her, like a piece of jewelry or a bag or something, it's usually me spending the money. But it's just rare. It works. I mean, either way, I know people here, and I think that I've heard some Americans do this too, where their finances are completely separated.
Yep.
I don't understand the concept.
Ours aren't completely separated, but we do have separate bank accounts. Um,
Yeah, no.
and it's largely just because we had them and we don't feel like screwing with
I've been told I
screwing with
have several bank accounts.
it. See, now I couldn't do that. I'd have to know. Like I'm one of these people who I know how much money. It's very very rare where I get surprised, right? And all of a sudden
Yeah.
I don't have as much money as I thought.
Now, people
Uh,
bring me occasionally. They just ink on it or chop it themselves and don't even bother to include me in it. But occasionally, I do get papers put in front of me that I have to sign. I don't really ask questions. You know,
Probably better that way.
yeah, it's better
Yeah.
that way. Uh, but I haven't been to a bank in.
He's signing death warrants. He doesn't even know it. Like,
That's
yep,
true. Yeah.
yep.
When's the last time I went to a bank and actually inside a bank? 20 years ago, maybe?
That's crazy. Well, I don't go in my bank either. I use the ATM, but
No, even
yeah,
an ATM. No, definitely 20 years.
that's
Yep.
crazy. See,
Yep.
my buddy, I got a buddy who makes really good money. He has only one kid, his wife obviously, and they have their house and all that. But
Sure.
it bugged me a couple weeks ago because I know how much money he makes, or roughly how much money.
Hmm.
And he said something to the effect of basically like his allowance. He didn't say that word, but that's what he said. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, bro, what? You're a grown ass man. What do you mean your allowance? What are you talking about? And then I quickly learned about a week later why this situation is like this because I watched him get some money, get some hard cash in his hand, and just blow right through it for no reason, just cuz. And
Oh,
I was like, oh,
yeah, one of those.
so
Yeah,
that
that
makes
can go
sense.
either way too. Yeah, no, I'm certainly not like that, but
Now I get it.
now I get it. Actually, my son, he's been he started his new job back in beginning of summer, and he's basically being trained to take over for an old dude that's been there forever. So
Mhm.
he's
Yeah.
with this guy, and he's just learning the ropes from the guy, but he he was with him because he's basically the chauffeur and the gopher and new hire, right? And
Sure.
so he goes and picks this guy up every day for going around do their rounds and stuff they do. And he was sitting at the door just kind of waiting for him, and the guy was trying to get $40 from his wife, and she just flat refused. No, you get nothing, nothing.
Yeah, I couldn't live that way. Uh-uh.
Well, I that does it isn't my case. I mean, if I wanted money, I'd have money, but I
Yeah.
just don't need it. I just don't use it. It's just that
Yeah.
simple. I never, if I buy anything, it's either a major purchase or it's online. Otherwise, I just don't spend money.
Yep. No, I don't either much. I don't either much unless, occasionally I don't have a choice, but I try to avoid those
I
circumstances. So
did buy a
like
new
for
watch though recently.
one of the other things I like to do because I'm in America, we do that that's what we do here. Over Thanksgiving,
Hmm.
right before Thanksgiving and on Thanksgiving because they were open. They Kroger's over here had a big sale on beverages and pop and everything else.
What's a
And it was
Kroger's?
basically a store, basically,
What
grocery
kind
store.
of store?
Uh,
Hardware?
grocery
Grocery.
store. And they had this big sale going where it was buy two, get three free.
Huh?
I said, well, you just spoke my language. And there was no limit because um, Adrian's wife actually went and bought some of it. And she's like, yeah, they told me you're only allowed to get like 15 of them, right? And we went and we're like, no, there's no limit at all. Doesn't say anything about a limit. So
What
we
is
might
this
have.
you're
I went
buying?
there. I was buying beverages, pop and drinks and all sorts of things. Um, and it was so I went there. I took $200 in cash with me because I was
Uh-huh.
like, all right, we're gonna stock up. We'll be set for the whole winter. We're gonna go crazy. And I walked out of there sh- in total with what my wife had already bought before I went. In total, we saved $145.
Okay.
I walked in there with I got enough of this stuff. It was the original before like all the sales started coming off. It was $198, and then once you put in your phone number, then their sale will kick in, and they start taking off money basically, and it ended up being only $83 off of one ticket. So I took saved over $107 off of one ticket. I
Wow.
was like, "Holy hell, that's a that's a good day, Tater." And we're
Yeah, I
set.
don't drink pop.
We've got stacks. We've got stacks of pop and other drinks. We're good to go for the winter.
Cool. Well, it's good
Um,
to hear. Yeah, it wouldn't work for me because, of course, I don't do the shopping anyway. But my wife only buys Whole Foods. She hates
mhm.
cans and boxes and frozen stuff. That's her
What's wrong with
choice.
cans?
She doesn't like them. I don't know.
Can't
I'm not
say.
arguing about it. I mean,
Okay,
she's the one cooking, so whatever makes her happy, right?
I guess.
Yeah,
But
no, she
cans
only
is
buys
fine.
Whole Foods. She's kind of radical about it.
So I take it in Japan they don't can, like preservatives and things, preserves and things, like we
They
do over
have
here in America.
some, but she buy a couple of jars, with the pickles or like a jelly,
Hmm.
some condiments, but milk, of course, comes in a glass jar here. Um, yeah, no, no, she just does. She gets
Hmm.
spices come in like little jars. She doesn't like cans. She doesn't like boxes. She buys Whole Foods. She's always been this way. She don't
Interesting.
like frozen
So,
stuff. She don't like it.
so if you were to make, if you say you wanted some pancakes, Chester,
Yeah,
or something like pancakes, that kind of pastry,
sure.
would she make the flour, or
She
would she?
No, she would get a bag of flour, but she'd scratch it. She wouldn't
Okay,
buy Bisquick or something like that. Um,
gotcha.
she scratch it,
That's
but
a
we
lot of
don't eat
work.
pancakes really here because making pancakes properly is difficult. She'll usually just do French toast, which I'm fine with.
French toast is a
Yeah,
good time.
I don't know. She's always been that way, and I don't care. I mean, I'm an American. I grew up on government cheese. Me and Grimlock know. So
Wait, and I had government cheese too, my friend. I grew up poor as shit.
yeah, but yeah, I don't care. But she just it's her
Mm.
way, and it's like yeah, whatever. I don't care. I mean, the kids are healthy. I'm healthy, so it's probably a good thing. But she just doesn't like it, and she scratches everything. And that's fine. She can make all kind of stuff, and she does a good job. Matter of fact, I'm in the process here of making me some New England baked beans or Boston baked beans. Uh, yeah. hmm Takes a
Good
while.
time right there.
Well, it takes a few days to get that done proper, right?
Well, it's interesting because there's a guy I follow on Twitter, and he's a little bit younger than me, but he's a big proponent of bile theory, toxic bile theory,
hmm
and he's been basically using himself as a guinea pig because he was really fat, and he's been burning through weight, and he hasn't really lowered his calorie intake at all. He's just eating certain types of food, even foods that a lot of people think are really, really healthy. He cuts them out because they are potentially very toxic, like certain greens and things. They're just loaded with all sorts of nonsense your body can't really process. And he's lost a ton of weight. I think he said in 1 month he lost like 15 pounds,
Mm.
and he didn't change his diet. Like he didn't change, he actually increased his caloric intake, but what he's eating is detoxifying him in a way
Sure.
that's crazy. So people make this comparison, have this question all the time: how come Americans are so fat? Right? What is it? And well, part of it is they eat too damn much, but
Yeah,
it's
corn
also
syrup is a big problem.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, there's stuff in all of our food that has no business in our food. Like
Yeah.
it's just all sorts of like corn syrup
Preservatives.
and
Yeah.
different antibiotics and things that if you
hmm
go to like Europe, they're not allowed to put in the food. So you can see things like you'll see these videos on Twitter of people talking about look in the 80s, look in the even in the 90s how thin everybody is, how everybody just looks smaller.
Sure. We didn't have
And
any fat kids around at all.
yeah, and it's not like McDonald's and stuff didn't exist. It absolutely still did, and we went all the time. So what's going on here?
That's
Well,
true.
a big part of that is the fact that our food is poisonous. It is full of all kinds of nonsense that it just has no business having. And there's no reason for it to be there other than it makes it marginally cheaper for these mega corporations to sell to people. Um, but my point that I'm getting at is I find that interesting that she's like that, and like you said, everybody over there is pretty healthy. It's probably one of the main reasons why, because when you don't buy the processed stuff, you're cutting out so much toxic nonsense. You don't
Yeah, the Japanese
need.
aren't a big fan of it. And when you go to the
Yeah.
store, they do have like a frozen food area, but it's very small.
Mm,
And it's mostly like half of it is ice cream.
yep.
Um, so yeah, they just don't eat much frozen foods. You don't see a lot of canned stuff. I mean, there is stuff like tuna fish, Now it's mainly the majority of the grocery stores are Whole Foods. Fruits,
Crazy.
vegetables, meats, grains, things like that. It's just the way. It's just their culture. I don't complain about it. Dave says he goes through credit union almost there every week to deposit his paycheck. Yeah, I don't get paid weekly anyway, dude. Um, a matter of fact, the way I get paid, Dave, is quite interesting. I work, well, it depends. Some of it just gets put in a bank account, which I've never seen. Yeah. And the other of it, the kids, when they come into the Eikaiwa, they hand the envelope to me because I gave them an envelope like a week before and they come back and give me the envelope. Inside those envelopes, I would assume there's money, but I've never seen it because I just take the envelope, put it in my bag, and by morning, it magically disappears.
Fascinating.
Fascinating. Yeah. So
Money elves.
money elves. I just don't know. I don't go to banks, Dave. My wife deals with the money. She's the one who does like 99% of the shopping. And if I have any, kind of banking I have to do it as far as my business, the secretary goes. I don't go. Let them do it. You know.
Them handle it.
Well, they do because they go and they sit down and they chat with the girls at the bank and they have their little fun chatty chats. You know.
Oh,
So
I'm sure it's real fun. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny.
I don't know, but I don't think your wife could shop in most grocery stores in the U.S. Well, we did live in the U.S. Well, Hawaii is not really America, but kind of pseudo America for 7 years, and she had no problem. She's always been this way. It's just she'll go to the vegetable area, the fruit area, and get that stuff. Then she'll go to the meat area. She will get some oils and condiments and rices and bags and stuff like that. But she just scratch makes everything, dude. She's always done like that. And of course, she could cook before I met her, but it was all Japanese shit. And I taught her how to make a whole bunch of Western things, and she's better than I am now. But 20 years,
Oh,
some years
Chester,
of
another
experience will
thing.
do that. So,
First of all, I forgot. I just remembered thinking about it. How is your wife that your puppy passed? She doing all
oh
right?
yeah, no, dude, I have had a crazy 2 weeks, dude.
It sounds like it.
No, it's ridiculous, Grimlock. I mean, oh my God. Okay, first of all, my friend injured his legs. And I've told you before, I used to run dynamite with him back when they were making there were many tunnels going in the area, so tons and tons every week. He needed an extra set of hands, so I went and because I have a proper license and I got another license, so I can do it. So I went and helped him years ago, right, like a decade ago. But he
Mhm.
hurt his legs, and his dynamite business it's smaller now, but it still needs to get done. So I had to take that over. Still doing it. Just went this morning because that involves 3 o'clock in the morning, right? Because you move dynamite in before the rest of the humans move, right?
Mhm.
So I've been doing that for 2 weeks, starting on three now. But running dynamite in the morning. My son came on Saturday and officially announced his wedding, and they're going to get one of those government type weddings in January, and then they'll do some ceremony later. But here in Japan, that's like what 30 grand. So good luck. I'm sure they'll be coming to
Mm.
daddy. I'll just say talk to the wife.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I had that. My dog died. And of course, he was in that process for several months, but the last couple of weeks were really, really bad. And my wife was out here sleeping with him, and I hadn't gone to bed yet, but I saw her come. I mean, I'm a hunter, so I know what it looks like. And so we had to do with that. I had to go to ceremonies. Now, here's the thing. Now, have either one of you guys had a pet or heard about or seen a pet? What happens when the pet dies? What do you do? Tell me.
Um, well, it depends where my pet dies. If it dies here, I just bury it in my backyard. If it dies at the vet, I have him cremated.
Right. See, that's what I would do. Backyard,
Yeah.
simple. That's what I grew up with, right? Ben says she makes a great cheesecake and brownies. Yeah, she does. And those are all scratch, right? Yeah, no, her cheesecake is freaking killer, dude. She makes a really good New York cheesecake, and I taught her how to make cheesecake, and I can't. I don't know what she does now. Damn. But anyway,
True.
but yeah, no, we didn't just bury in the backyard, which would be the thing to do, right?
Yeah.
No, we had to go to a proper Buddhist funeral for the dog.
It's got a soul, Chester. It could
Fair.
come back as a person. It could be your grandson,
It could.
Chester.
Well, that is
Yeah.
fair here in Asia. They do believe in reincarnation. So I dragged myself up to this thing, and I figured it'd be some little hokey, commercial nonsense thing, right? No,
Yeah.
I was wrong.
It was a whole deal.
Dude, it was an actual Buddhist temple, a real one, with real Buddhist priests, full on chanting and bells and wood blocks.
Oh my.
Oh my God, it went on forever. And of course, a room full of photographs of in a temple
Wait,
room, right? Of photographs of dogs and cats looking at me.
you said they had the wood blocks. Did it make that awesome sound that the Buddhist blocks do? Know what I'm talking about? Where they bang them?
Can you hear what I'm
It
doing?
must not have. No, I can't hear you.
No, it's just,
Your
it's
mic's
yeah,
not picking it up.
yes, it is
Yeah.
doing. It's what you think, yeah.
Oh, I love that segment. Yeah.
Don't, that stuff. Yes, yes.
I think that's a little much. I don't personally. I think it's too much for people. That's just a waste of time. What are we doing? I don't want it for we say these things like it's for the family so they can
It
grieve and
is.
whatever. I
It's
don't
not
want to
for them.
grieve with other. I don't want to be with these people. If I'm upset, I want to be alone. I want to chill.
Fair,
I
but
want to hang
some
out.
not everyone thinks that way. But of
I
course,
know.
funerals are for people. They're the living, not the dead. Um,
Yeah.
oh, thanks, Dave. But yeah, so I had to go through all that. Had to wait through the process. They had a big old koi pond, and they gave my wife like a bucket of food for it. Basically doing the priest jobs, what we are doing. And
Mhm.
she happily threw food into the koi pond. It was peaceful and beautiful. I have to say, it was in the middle of the mountain. It had zero reception, so you ain't calling no one. But it was stunningly beautiful place and mega peaceful, as a temple should be, right? But yeah, the only creepy thing for me was sitting in a room just filled with, um, little dugouts, little drawer or shelves, little teeny segmented shelves that had all these animals that because you could pay extra money for that. I don't know if I did. I probably did. I have no idea what I spent. My wife did all of it, but whatever. But I have all these damn dogs and cats looking at me the whole time. This priest is chanting and banging on this damn bell and on the wood block. But whatever. It was a thing. My wife cried a lot, many times, over and over. So yeah, I guess it's good for her. And so I had to deal with that. Um, yeah, that's enough. I mean, adding an entire new job in the morning is kind of a big deal for me. I'm already busy enough, aren't I? Aren't I?
Yeah. Yeah. You're too busy, Chester. You got to chill out, bro. You're gonna kill yourself. What are you doing?
Unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, I'm in between as it is now. I did the stuff in the morning. I came back and tried to squeeze in my translations. I'm doing this thing. Then, as soon as I'm done here, I have to go into the city and I got classes with a bunch of doctors. Then I got to go to the university. I won't be done until 10 o'clock. So, what is that, 12
Goodness.
hours from now? Joy.
Goodness.
Yeah. And I started my day at 3. So, I've been up many,
Remember,
many hours already.
remember what you said just like 20 minutes, not even 20 minutes ago about how you don't even need the money?
I
What
don't.
are you doing?
I don't. Well, I don't. But the dynamite thing is just helping a friend. I mean, that's different.
Was he gonna? Are you gonna get any kind of compensation for all that? It's a lot of work for just a
Uh,
buddy
he
for nothing.
he gave me an envelope. I'm sure there's money in it. I just gave it to my wife.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't really know, but I'm sure it actually is a very high paying job. Um,
See, the other problem you'd have over here with being that way, and this is why I couldn't, is you can't trust white women. They will steal your shit. So
okay.
I'm not trusting any
Well,
woman that much with money that I'm working that hard for.
Yeah,
a little bit of money here or
but if she
there, but like
steals
all my
your shit,
money,
she's stealing her shit. That doesn't make sense.
they don't see it that way. Have you ever, Chester? Have you ever met a white woman?
I have.
They don't see it that way.
That's
It's
true.
not. It's not. It's what yours is theirs, and what's theirs is theirs. That's how they see it. Now you know it's true. Everybody knows it's true.
I guess, but I mean, stealing from one for the other doesn't make sense when it's all universal, you know.
Tell that to every divorce lawyer in this country who is raking in the money
Mhm.
off these chumps that get taken for a ride by their wives.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about any of that.
Yeah.
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 It's nice. It must be nice.
Yeah,
I don't
guess.
really have to worry about it either. I'm mostly memeing, but other guys do for real. Like, and you can tell too. What's weird to me is how many men can't tell because for whatever reason they get around a woman and
That's funny,
their
Dave.
their ears go down, right? Their hunter senses of predator shuts off because woman can't hurt me. I'm a big tough guy. Wait till she gets the courts in her back.
Mhm.
Yeah, you just hang on for a second, buddy.
That's fair enough. Yeah, I didn't marry that kind of person though.
Yeah, me neither. But a lot of people do, and that's one of the reasons why over here you have to be a little bit more paranoid, if you will. You have to be a little bit more cautious because the system over here, especially over here, even in my state, Ohio, which is a fairly conservative state, it is against the husband, hard, against
Yeah,
the
it is.
man,
I know
against the
this.
father,
I know this. Yeah.
badly.
Yeah. But I didn't, I just don't have that situation. I don't live in that situation.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But I've been crazy busy. Sorry about last week, but I had to go, funerals and stuff. That was just I couldn't unavoidable. Um but at least the thing is, it was a beautiful location up in the mountains, super tranquil. And it was a stunningly gorgeous day. It was nice temperature. The sky was completely clear, no haze, no clouds, which never happens here. Of course, she attributed this to Orin, obviously.
Of course.
Of
Yes.
course. But it is. I've only
Because when
seen.
you die, you suddenly have powers over all of the weather.
That's
you see.
right. Yeah. I've only seen clear skies here twice. It was that day and like 17 years ago, 15 years ago. They
Yep.
don't get them. It's either hazy here or there's at least puffy clouds in the sky. You don't get just clear blue. You don't get it.
Just
So
flat
that
blue.
was
So you're saying that every time there's a clear day in Japan, it's because a dog died.
yeah. Or
Kind of morbid.
a special.
So what
a
happens
special dog.
when the real bastards die? Like the real prick dogs or the
Mhm.
real prick people die? Is that why? Is it just rain?
Earthquakes.
Like I want to understand. Oh, there you go. They make the earthquakes. That
Yeah,
makes
make the
sense. That
earthquakes.
checks out.
Yeah.
That logic's perfect.
It
I don't
is.
have any faults there.
Yes. Yes. I did hear. I did. Interestingly, we have communists here in the government. They have very little power, but they do exist. But they're
Yep.
different than other communists that in the West, because you're dealing with, the Democratic Party is basically a socialist group now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, full on. They call themselves Democratic Socialists after all, don't they? Which is
Sure.
which is an interesting combination of words.
Unironically.
Yeah, unironically, but the Communist Party here in Japan, I heard the other day, was complaining and saying that they don't want any foreigners in Japan. I was like, that's an interesting twist. But they actually blamed. They're kind of like some of these crazy, out of control Christians. They blamed earthquakes and stuff like that on foreigners.
Japan, everybody, the most atheistic country in the world.
Oh, they're a small group, dude. They're very small. No one takes them seriously. But one thing about Asians, though, although in Japan it's a smaller percentage, but Korea has a much harder problem with this. They are very easily led into cults.
Yeah, 'cause they're smart.
Cultism is a problem in Asia. It
Well,
really
I
is.
say smart. They have a extreme preponderance of midwits, and
Oh, yeah.
midwits are very easy to trick because they think they're smarter than they are. That's kind of what makes them a midwit, and they are very easy to lure into the. That's why they've done studies on this, hundreds of them,
Mhm.
that most cult people, or a very large number of them, are actually above average intelligence. And people are, well, that doesn't make sense. Why'd they fall for it? Well, because they didn't think they could
Smart
fall
enough
for
to
it.
be dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very easy to trick somebody who thinks they're smart. It's much harder to trick somebody who knows they're not. Much harder
Oh, that's
because they
true.
don't trust anything. They're like, nah, nah,
That's
nah.
true.
They give you that noise. Nah, that
Yeah.
don't work. Yeah.
Well, I don't know, and Ben can
Like
back
there's
me
a
up on
segment
this.
of the Japanese
Well,
that
there,
blame the bad weather on foreigners because even the rednecks in America don't blame the Mexicans for tornadoes.
that's true.
I've
No,
never
that's
heard of
true.
it
They
anymore.
blame the atheists. But
Yeah. Fuck them.
but
Yeah.
the Japanese are not as smart as you think they are. The problem with it's not a problem, but the situation with the Japanese is they're incredibly studious.
Hmm.
One, and two, they're very, very specialized.
Mm.
Right? So you get
That
this
covers a lot of ground.
illusion
Yeah.
of intelligence,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's how you cover your tracks.
Yeah.
See, and you notice this because people have this idea in America that doctors are really smart. Really smart if you're a doctor,
Uh,
and some of them are,
Good
but
memory, I'd imagine.
they have decent memories, but they specialize so much that most of them that I've known ever in my life, even family members, they're retards when it comes to doing anything else. They just
Mm,
can't do it. Their brain can't figure out any other thing other than the thing that they're doctors in. And I know for a fact that it even goes all the way up to cardiologists and brain surgeons because my sister, my oldest sister, is a basically like the boss of their assistants, right? She ran in where I'm from. We have one of the best cardiologists in the world that works here, and
Oh,
he
that's
has
good.
like a whole department in like a in the state hospital and all this stuff. Or he has like this whole department that he runs, and he goes all over the world and does talks. And her job was to make sure that his actual assistants were setting up his schedule, basically living his life for him so he could just show up and do the things he needed to do so he didn't have to think about it.
Sure.
But she would tell me all the
Sounds
time
like me.
that that these guys are just she basically says that she's their mom because they're just so utterly incapable of doing basic shit that like it's not like they don't want to, they simply can't. Their brain doesn't, it won't do it. It can't put it only has so much processing power, the human brain, and it's busy. So it doesn't have time to process anything else. And so when you
Yeah.
say like they're just really specialized, yeah, that covers a lot of tracks because
Mhm.
most likely what you're going to see them doing is their thing, right? That's what they do most of the time. They spend most of their time doing whatever it is, their field. So makes it look better on paper, but then you get them out of there and they're just a mess, right? It's something because I, have worked in many blue collar industries, ran businesses in blue collar industries. And one of the things all of us would say, all of the technicians, we would call them college educated idiots. Because yeah, they could do all the college stuff they needed to do. They could do all that work, all that paperwork, all that sitting there listening to some douchebag who's never done anything with his life tell him how the world works, even though he has no idea. But he has a fancy degree next to his name.
Mhm.
They can do all that, no problem. But then you get them out in the real world, and they just crumble. They
True.
just fall apart.
Well, I
And
know I'm a college educated idiot.
no, I don't think you are because you run multiple businesses. Most of these people could never do that. Their brain would just, nah, it's just not going to happen. But a lot of these people are like this, and it's one of the reasons why I've come to have such a great level of just basic disrespect for credentials because I've seen the people who get these credentials and the way that they all believe that that makes them special. And it just boggles my mind that they think
Mhm.
because they could sit in a class and listen to some idiot talk and then write down what he said and then write it down again later, which that's school, by the way. That's it. That's the trick. That's the secret. That's all it is.
Yeah.
They're somehow smart and special. No, you're not. You're neither of those things. In
Well,
fact, I'm
the
not smart or special, and I'm telling you, you're an idiot.
well the
So what's that tell you?
the problem really consists of this, and
Yep.
unfortunately, this is an eternal problem for a professor. When you go to university or high school or a trade school or anything like that, and you get your degree in whatever it is, many people have this idea that I'm finished, I have done my
Yes.
thing, and here are my
I'm,
credentials. and they
Pay me now.
misunderstand that that is only the beginning.
Yes.
That
Correct.
is literally the beginning. And they
Yes.
don't really take that to heart. And of course, professors are trapped in that because they never leave it, right?
Yeah.
I have more interaction with doctors and nurses than I ever imagined I would in my life.
Hmm.
Because here in Japan, doctors and nurses are required to speak English because you never know if you
Right.
get a foreigner coming in, right? Yeah, it's fair
Hmm.
enough. So I always have these kind of people in my schools. Nurses are easy enough, although, and Ben could probably attest to this, but the nurses they kind of jittery.
Yeah.
I think they work them too much here. But anyway,
Probably.
um,
They did here for years too, and it's gotten better in the last 10 years or so. Yeah.
yeah, so that's that. But no one pays you to just be smart. Well, unless you're a comedian. But the
Well, that would be a
doctors.
smart ass.
Yeah, it's true. Smart ass, yeah. Good twist. But with the doctors, for me, it's actually very easy, and I tend to get all the doctors in the region.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure exactly why, but it's probably because they'll come in and some of them got, attitude, right?
Of course. Yep.
They got the
Shit don't
degrees and
stink.
stuff like
Yep.
that. And what I do is just listen because I studied all this shit too, man. Anthropology is one of the most difficult majors you can take because you have to study
Yes.
botany and biology, anatomy,
Everything.
odontology,
Yep.
geology. I mean, et cetera, et cetera. There's so many fields you have to cover in that. So I'll listen to what they're talking about and ask the right questions, and then I'll get them talking on something, and I'll say, "Oh, well, you mean myopia?" or whatever, as an example,
Right.
and instantly they're like, "Oh, he understands."
We got one that can see. They're talking into a little watch. Is
That's
that what you're
right.
telling me?
Yeah,
Is that what's going on
that's right. That's right. So hook, line, and sinker. So
here?
that's how I deal with it. Usually, it takes
Yeah.
me a class to calm them down immediately, and then we can have
What
conversation.
really
So
put me into this, like this, obviously, is
that's
running
probably
a
true, Ben.
technical business for so long, and working in a technical field for so long, where you run into these people who they're making great money, they're engineers, they're doctors, they're lawyers, and for some reason, because they are these things, they automatically assume you don't know what you're doing, right? They have this arrogance about them, this hubris that because you're not this level of whatever, you don't know what you're doing when you're talking about how to fix an appliance or whatever. Or
Yeah.
they like to get in your way and tell you, "Oh, do this and this." Like, "Would you shut the fuck up and let me do my job, please? Please go away. If I screw it up, then you can come bitch at me. But until then, go away." You
Right.
can't
That's
say
true.
that, obviously, but you want to,
Well,
right?
you could.
You want to say that to them.
You could.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but that's not very professional. But you
Well,
want to
just
say
leave
that to
out
them.
the
But
the vulgarities.
you have so many of these people like this, and the worst ones are always engineers because they are technical people. They do very technical things. However, most engineers are very specialized. So while they're whatever it is that they do, they are probably very, very good at.
Probably.
Not everything works the exact same way. Now, basic principles might be the same, but there's always a reason why certain things, for like say an electric motor, why it has a field that runs one way instead of the other in a washer, or there's stuff like that, right? That only people who understand the actual function understand, right? A technician needs to know how something works. They don't need to know why it works necessarily. They just need to know how.
Right.
Whereas an engineer needs to know why.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. That's
that's
true.
the difference. So one is applicable in the real world and one is applicable in a controlled environment,
Hmm.
hopefully in the real world. And it's funny because Star Trek The Next Generation actually had an exact thing about this, an episode exactly about this with Geordi when he falls in love with the fake girl, if you remember
Hmm.
that episode.
Yeah.
The
Sure.
exact same idea, but it's completely real. That's completely true. Engineers think or technicians and designers and engineers all have a different perspective on the exact same problem. And the only ones who typically can solve the problem in the real world are the technician. But the engineers all think they can because, they have all the knowledge.
Sure.
But
Sure.
it's just not how the world works. And that's probably where a lot of my anti credentialism, if you want to call it that, came from Because if it's the same way for the people who I have the most respect for in a practical science field, which would be engineers or chemists, if it's the same way with them, then it's definitely the same way with everybody else. Because why would there be a gap, right?
Yeah,
If these
well,
people all have this same mental hiccup, then all the other people do too. And it's just eye opening when you realize that the world's basically being run by accident. It's kind of a lot. There's a lot of luck going on because all it takes is one or two people in the right places to really screw the pooch, and we have problems.
mhm,
And we've seen that happen. If you I don't you weren't here, but about 15, 20 years ago,
mhm,
in my state in Southern Ohio, they weren't doing good maintenance on the trees, and the power lines were running by the trees.
mhm.
And eventually, what was destined to happen happened, and a tree branch fell, hit a transformer, exploded it, and took out the power on the entire East Coast, the
Oh wow.
entire grid for 3 days. This is what I'm saying. A
Well,
lot of stuff happens by accident.
that shouldn't be a thing. They need to get on
No,
that.
and it's not now. Ohio fixed that problem, and now we have much better management of our trees to the point now all the parks,
No, I'm
publicly
talking
owned
about a single
land.
transformer taking out the East Coast.
Oh, it's still that bad, bro.
That's not
We
good.
can have cascading failures like that very easily. And the big transformers, those big ones that you see,
Sure.
those are incredibly expensive and incredibly difficult to get where they need them to have. So a lot of places only have a couple of them at any given time. Like
I
whole
see.
states will only have a handful of them, and the power grid's a whole problem. But when it comes to like the tree thing, Ohio learned its lesson, and now if you drive down any of our parks, state parks or whatever, they will have the tree line pulled completely back from the road, like 50 feet. They've
Well,
trimmed it
as it
all the way
should
back,
be.
which it should have been to begin with.
Yeah.
But yes, they learned their lesson, thankfully. But that's kind of my point, though. A lot of stuff happens is just accidental. It's working because it's always worked, and as long as nobody screws with it, it'll keep working. And then
Oh no.
occasionally things happen,
That's
and
very
there you go.
true. Yeah, that's very
Yeah,
true. As far as people and their credentials, it's kind of like the Missourians and just, show me. Uh, you
yeah,
know,
that's exactly.
it's really what you kind of go with. But no, humans, we have this unbelievably stupid uh, trend in us that is eternal, it seems. We
Yep,
always wait to the last second to fix a problem. We're
yep.
never, we never do things in such a way that's preventative at all. I mean,
Very
look what's
reactive.
happening. We're very reactive. Look what's happening in Europe. Like say Ireland popped off, and
Yeah,
it got to a point where it's just they had enough and it's popped off. And if they were smart and preventative, they wouldn't have had this problem. But we never do this. Humans never do this, right? Um, just the absolute fucking worst. I guess Ben is talking about the power grid.
oh, I don't know. Yeah, he might be talking about the nurses. I'm not sure what he's talking.
He might be talking about
Uh,
power grid. He already mentioned about the nurses. I'm waiting for Dave to tell me what the aliens in They Live were inspired by, though. I am waiting for that. I'm curious
oh,
because I did
oh.
love that movie. That's a good one.
That's such a great movie. That's
Yeah.
that's one of the best B movies ever made. It
Oh, it's
might it
awesome.
might be the one. In fact, it might be.
Yeah,
It's so good.
it's really really good.
Piper's
Uh,
perfect for that
oh,
role. He's so good.
engineers. Oh God, he's ranting on engineers. Um, okay.
See, this is why Ben and I get along right here.
Yeah. Well, be nice, Ben. Set did
Oh,
become
he's
an
right.
engineer.
Fuck engineers.
Yeah, okay. My son is one. But interestingly, he's dealing with metropolitan water utilities is what he's engineering.
Mm, mm.
So that
We
that
need him
turned
over
out.
here. Get him over here. My city I live in, we get all of our water, or vast majority of our water, from Lake Erie,
Hmm.
as we should, since it's giant
It's
lake
right
full of
there.
clean
Yeah,
drinking water.
yeah,
Yeah. But the problem with Lake Erie is it's a algae lake. It has lots of algae in it, lots
sure.
of algae blooms, and because other counties to our southeast don't have rules to keep the farmers from dumping their all sorts of things into the waterways, even if it's just by accident into the aquifer that eventually runs back into the lake, we get every so often we get these crazy red algae blooms, and red algae can kill you. They get this crazy red algae blooms, and we can't drink our water. You can't boil it or anything. Like you cannot drink it until they get that out of the system.
Wow.
Um, yeah. So we need him over here. Get him over here. Maybe he can sort them out because my city has not been able to figure this out in 25 years. Every so often, every in the summertime, we'll have a water emergency and you can't drink. You can't even take a shower. They say don't even take a shower in it. Don't
Hmm.
just treat it like it's toxic. Don't let it get in your mouth because that algae will get in your system and it can actually kill you. It probably
Oh,
won't, but it can kill you.
no. But red algae is dangerous. It
Yeah.
is kind of interesting. I just wanted to mention offhand that my son is an engineer and my daughter is a chemist. So, you know.
That's good.
But
See? That's good. Those are
well,
two real
yeah,
sciences right
well,
there. Practical sciences.
I kind of got the double there. But it's interesting you talk about algae because one of my students right now is a scientist that is, I can't go into details, but he is doing algae-based research in Australia.
Interesting.
So it's interesting little connection with that. But their reasons for doing are radically different. The Japanese want to make money, and the Australians want to save the planet.
Yeah, they're on a crusade, aren't
Who's
they?
going to win? I wonder.
The ones who want to make money.
Probably.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah, the planet can't.
Yeah.
You're not saving the planet unless you kill all the people. That's the
Mm.
spoiler of the year, right there. Because
I
the problem with the planet and the problem, well, the planet really doesn't have a problem. The problem with us is us. Planet will be fine. Planet's not going any. We don't have anywhere near the power. At least I hope we don't to destroy whole planets. So planet ain't going anywhere.
Mhm.
We, on the other hand, we might be. There's a good
I
chance we're
I,
done.
I wish I could go into detail because you'd laugh your ass off. But
Oh no.
yeah, no, it's radically bad. It's so it makes me laugh because my job is to, improve their point man's English, but also help with reports and things like that. So I know the
Yep.
entire scientific method that's going on here because of that.
Interesting.
And it's so funny, dude. Um, these idiots.
It's good.
I mean,
It's good.
yeah. I mean,
It's good that another country can also waste a bunch of money on ridiculous science experiments that'll benefit nobody.
well,
I
no,
like that. I'm glad that it's
trust
not
me, the
just
Japanese
America.
will make money on this. Guarantee you, they'll make money on this. The Japanese will make money on anything. Trust me. But just I really wish I could tell you about it, but maybe in the future. But it's so stupid, dude.
You
So
know what
stupid.
pisses me off the most about engineers since Ben got me thinking
Oh
about it
God,
again.
Ben.
The reason why the engineers specifically trigger me is because in the 70s, 60s and 70s, Whirlpool, the people who make appliances, one of the biggest brands in the world. They they decided they weren't going to listen to their engineers for a little bit, and they went out and they found their best technicians in the whole country, and they brought them in to design their washers and dryers.
Sure,
Those designs they used for 40 years.
sure.
So they had been paying some engineers with all these fancy degrees, who knows how much money to design their stuff for them. And instead, the guys who were probably blue collar workers making right about median wage came in and were like, "Well, why don't you just put this over here and that over there, and then it'll work better, and
Yeah,
it won't break." And it didn't. By the way,
practical
I have
engineering.
one that's 30 years old that it's never going to break ever. The
Yeah,
only thing that can break in it, I fixed with a commercial grade thing because it's completely interchangeable. Because again, technicians designed it, and it'll never break unless I throw bricks in the damn thing. It's never going to break.
yeah. No. I mean, and when you mentioned the thing with science, do keep in mind the vast majority of all the technology you have is like 100 plus years old,
Yeah,
200 years old in some cases. Yeah,
even cell phones. That's
yeah,
the
no,
that's a
everything.
kicker.
Yeah. It's amazing how little advancement we've actually had. With the computer thing, okay, we'll give you that. But a lot of this is
Digitally, yeah.
pretty old. Yeah, it's really old. Like cameras, for
Yep.
instance, there's hardly any change in them, right? One of my things I love to YouTube is just watching things about old photography from like the 1840s and 50s, and
Mhm.
60s as well. But around the 1860s, there were so many cameras around, and they had got to such good quality that they look like modern. They're just black and white. But if you
Right.
get back in the 50s and 40s, you're getting the sepia stuff now, right? Um, but
Yep.
um, but I love looking at those old photographs and stuff. It's one of my favorite things to do. I just watched one on Crimean War. I didn't know
Ooh.
that it was James Robertson, of course, a very famous early photographer. It took like a whole bunch of photos of that war. I didn't even know. That was pretty cool.
Yep. That is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of crazy when you think about it. Like you said, a lot of our foundational technology that we use every day
Hmm.
is very old.
Mm,
It's very old,
super
especially
old.
considering you know, it's older than anybody here. It's older than our grandparents in many cases. Like some of this stuff, like think about it, the automobile, the internal combustion engine. Yeah, they've made some changes here or there and some improvements, sure, but the basic idea is the same. We've been using that same thing for what 150 years now, 160 years.
Hmm.
Uh, that's crazy. How
Yeah,
have
it
we
is.
not come up with something better and new? And I guess in some ways, Elon Musk and other people are trying,
Yeah,
but
they're trying.
even them, all they're doing is taking 100-year-old, 110-year-old technology and making it more powerful
Yeah.
because they're just using electric motors, and electric motors were invented 100 years ago by Tesla.
Well,
So
even more. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's going
I'm
on
not
here?
sure who
Where's the
exactly
next
created it.
big thing? Right? The next, like the really innovative thing that's world changing. It could be AI if they ever actually make one, a real one. Um if that's an if. It Where's it at? Why haven't we had that thing that's like fertilizer, right? Like a species changing technology. You could say cell
Been a
phones
while.
in a way, but cell phones aren't new. The
No, they're not
smartphone
new.
is an iteration on it, but they had the basic technology for a cell phone back in Tesla's day. They just didn't
Well,
have
they
the means
certainly
of,
did.
of
Yeah.
distributing it. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So
I don't know, dude. I mean, even with the electrical thing you were talking about, it's not even Tesla. It's well before his time.
yeah.
Like I've seen once again going back to the old photographs, but photos from the 50s, 1850s and 60s of these things they called dynamos, and they were
Yep.
basically like a big old carriage, and it could move itself. And this is long, but this is keep in mind the steam engine is 200 years old, right? And these things would could go to a spot in the middle of nowhere and produce electricity to light up a city. And there's only a
And
couple
we
of them
should
left
have had
sitting in museums. I mean, what the hell was that technology? Let's get on that.
steam engines 2,000 years ago, but the Romans balked on it. The dummies.
Well,
They
the
had it.
Greeks thought it was a cute toy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't
The
really
if the Romans
utilize it.
had taken the Greeks thing like they took everything else from them, that's the one thing they're like, nah, nah, we don't want that. We'd like slaves instead. Thank you.
Yeah, they didn't have
Um,
the vision for that, huh? Because they did have a
yeah,
fully working steam engine. That's true.
they did. We
Yeah,
could imagine what the world would look like today had they cracked the steam code back then
yeah.
because it
Well,
was
keep in
there.
mind the Romans were super close to an industrial revolution, right? The only thing that kept them
Yeah.
back was a slavery problem.
Yep.
Yeah, it would have been a very different world. But yeah, that is interesting. I never really thought about it. But why didn't they see the value of the steam engine, even though they had one? It is
I don't know.
interesting. Yeah,
Because the reason why it's so interesting is because everything else. I mean, they were stealing everything. They were snap gobbling
that's what the
everything up.
Romans
Anything
did.
they could
Yeah,
get. Yeah, that was their whole shtick. So for some reason, this one they're like, nah, mm, nope,
yeah,
not
that
doing.
is
We
interesting.
don't like it.
Well, if you look
It's
at the
interesting.
Greek steam engines that they made, because the Greeks had robots and they had all kind of stuff, but the Greeks, you got to a lot of people misunderstand the Greeks. The Romans are very blue collar in their way, right? And
Yes,
they apply things in that thinking. The
very
Greeks were very
practical.
different. The Greeks owned property, and they would have their indentured servants or slaves, what do you want to call it, work doing all the work, and the women ran the houses, so they were really the managers, managing everything. And what the men
Mhm.
would do, the average Greek citizen here now, they would go into the agora, the marketplace, the plaza, and they would sit and chat all day. right? Same thing happened in
Yep.
India and in several other places. And of course, this is where all the philosophy came from because they're talking all day, this lounging and talking, not doing shit. But the problem with
Right.
the, well, it's true. But the thing with the Greeks is they had these robots that would walk out and serve you wine into your glass, and they had all kind of
Oh,
fancy stuff. But it was a toy to them because they were lazy, lecherous, and drunkards. So their
well, I
whole,
mean, you say "were."
well,
you,
were,
you use the
but
word "were."
I'm just saying that was their lifestyle. So it was all toys, really.
Yeah.
And the only thing that really applied in the long run was philosophy, right?
Yeah.
But the Romans aren't
And
like that. The Romans are very different. They're very practical,
yeah, very
very
agrarian people.
industrious.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's funny because the man himself, Plato. Uh, he apparently, I found this out the other day. I didn't know this, but apparently there'd be many times, or there were many reported times, where he would be in a discussion or an argument with somebody, and he would basically just call him a nerd and a pussy and shut up because he kicked their ass, and that's how he'd win the argument
Fair
because
enough.
they were.
Fair enough.
They were just nerd pussies that he could. He was. I mean, he was a freaking world class wrestler. He was built. He was jacked.
No,
Uh,
no, he was. Yeah,
he
yeah.
yeah, so he I just find that interesting that they'd sit around all day talking shit, and Plato would win a lot of arguments by being like, "Ah, you're a pussy, shut up."
Yeah.
Men don't change, is my point.
No, they don't. That's true. But it is that. But that is interesting. I should actually look into that. I bet there's a paper there. Why didn't the
Yeah,
Romans see the value of the Greek steam toy?
yeah, it's weird. It's strange
Yeah,
because
I get why the Greeks didn't. I do understand that.
it's it's funny because in America, a similar thing played out that we unfortunately had to resolve with great bloodshed, where slavery was basically done. Right? It wasn't just that it was obviously morally wrong to a lot of people, even at the time, and now obviously looking back, we didn't like it. But um, technology was replacing the need or even the desire, really, to have these sorts of workers. They weren't tenable. They weren't financially tenable,
No, too
and
expensive. Yeah.
yeah, it become too expensive. You could get a machine that could do the work of 10 men and only take one man to operate it, right?
Hmm.
Uh, so it was on its way out, but yet you had a group of people who just were like, no, mm-mm, nope, not changing, not doing it, gonna cling to it. And it led to many bad things.
Sure.
Um, I would imagine that might be it. That might simply be the answer. The aristocracy of the day was like, nah, nope,
Yeah, it
we're
could
gonna
just
hold
be
on
the
to
rich
power.
people didn't want to lose their
Yep.
their things. Yeah, that's possible.
Because after the industrial revolution in America took hold, and ours was more of an agrarian revolution, if we're honest. Uh, we
Initially,
talk about all
yeah.
the cities and stuff. Yeah, we talk about how big the cities got, but they only got that big because the industry hit the farmlands, and the farmlands started producing more food than anybody could ever possibly need,
All right.
and it allowed the cities to balloon and all the industry to grow up in there. But it's interesting to me that that same mindset just carries through. It was that the fact that we had that big boom industrially created the middle class. I know communists and socialists want to pretend it was unions that did it, which is weird. It was no, it was technology that did it. It
Yeah,
was a leveling of the playing field because
all that
now
18th
it
century, a lot of technology started popping.
yeah, it leveled the playing field and it allowed more common people, the peasantry, if you will, the common man, to come up in a way that they couldn't have before. They couldn't have the lifestyle that they would have and that we still have for the most part to this day. And it's all thanks to the agrarian industrial revolution leading into the industrial revolution and slowly elevating everybody up. Now there was a lot of fighting and arguing and bickering to get to that point, as there always is. Change is never easy, but I just find that interesting. I think that was it. If I had to guess, because obviously we'll never know, not really, unless somebody can invent a time machine.
Hmm.
Um,
I
that
have
just makes
much
them. That
more
seems
important
like the
things to
one
do with a time machine than that.
that me too. That seems like the right answer. It was just the fact that the people who would have to make that call decided they would rather hoard power than share it, and
Yeah, maybe.
that's
Could
what
be
we're
that
left with.
simple. Yeah. I always ask this question of my older students. At some, because I'll come into an economic lesson, teaching them, you know, basically, the words dollar and cent, and how to interact with American money. But
Hmm.
I'll also do kind of general economics, and I'll always ask the question, who are the most important working class in the world? I ask this question
Mm,
all the time, year after year, and they never get it right.
mm.
They never do. And of course, I'd imagine you ask a millennial or a Zoomer, they would be way off. Because the answer to that question are the farmers.
Yeah,
They are
that's
the
yeah.
most important people, without question. Yeah,
The foundation, the bedrock
they are.
of human civilization is the farmhand, farmer.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
And the thing is,
it,
a lot of people disregard them, but if you think about the knowledge it takes to be a good farmer, it's enormous.
especially nowadays,
Yeah, but
with the
even
soil
more so in the
degradation.
past, really.
Yeah,
When you think about it, they
yeah,
have certain conveniences these days that they didn't used to have. But it takes a lot of knowledge and intelligence to be a good farmer. Quite a
yeah.
bit. Just think about what you need to
Well,
know.
one thing I've worked with a lot of farmers being in a service industry, right? They bring us their smaller equipment to fix or whatever.
Sure.
And one thing you notice, two things you notice. There's no stupid farmers. I never met one. This
No,
idea of the
no,
hick farmer and all that. They might have backward, quote unquote backwards ideas, but they're not dumb.
no,
Uh,
not even close.
and there's not a poor. I've never met a poor farmer, like an actual full time farmer with a proper plot of land. That doesn't exist. There's ones who maybe aren't super rich. They're not living high on the hog necessarily, but they're not poor either. That
No.
that machinery is not cheap, and they don't just they're not just giving it away, right? You don't just walk in and be
Oh
like, "Here
no.
you go, have a $1 million piece of machinery, no
Yeah.
problem. Here
They
you go."
overcharge, to be fair.
Yes. So yeah, it's I don't know how did we even get on this topic. What were we talking about, Chester? We were talking about technology and how it hasn't really changed in a very long time. I don't remember how we got on this train, but I'm going to get off of it real quick because one of the other reasons I asked about your dog was also just to see how you guys were doing about it because I know you had that dog for a long time. But I got a new dog.
Oh, you did?
Uh, yeah, his name is Silas, and he is an Akita.
Oh,
He's an American Akita though, so he's a big old bear of a dog, big old bear boy. But he's an absolute sweetheart, super smart, quiet, doesn't make much noise. We did hear him bark the other day because other dogs were barking in the neighborhood, and they shut up because his bark sounds like, well, a cannonball. It's outrageous. It's pure thunder.
so you
Uh,
said his name
and
was
he's
Cyanide?
yes, his name's Cyanide. No, his name is Silas Grimm, and the reason why is because he looks like a Grimm. He's big and black and very scary looking, but he's a total sweetheart. And his name was we got him from a shelter, and they his name was Sykes at the shelter. That's why I asked you about that the other or last I think the last time we were streaming. And we decided we don't like that name because it's stupid, and
Uh-huh.
we decided to call him Silas. Uh,
Was I
and he's a
informative again?
yes, you were actually. Uh,
Yay,
but we
Grimlock.
decided on we decided on Silas instead. We were going to go with something more Japanese, right? Since he's an Akita, Japanese dog. Uh, but he's an American Akita, which is technically the same, but they're way bigger. They're like twice the size, almost twice the size of a Japanese Akita. Because of course it's America, we had to make them bigger.
Hmm.
Uh, but he's usually these dogs get a bad rap because they were fighting dogs, they're hunting dogs. I mean, they're bred to hunt bears for crying out loud. They're huge. His paws are as big as my foot. Like
Yeah, they're a
he's an
hunting dog
actual
here.
yeah, they're an actual beast. Yeah, actual beast. This dog, but he hasn't shown any sign of aggression. The only time I've heard him growl was when I tripped and accidentally kneed him, and he growled at me a little bit. But it was more of a like, "Hey, what the hell, man?" kind of growl, not like I'm gonna rip your face off growl.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, other than that, he's a sweet. He's laying in here right now, sleeping, just minding his business. Right, he's an actual bear. Like I said, I cannot stress to you enough how big this dog is, Chester. He's huge. Um, and he's a total sweetheart, and he likes to go on his walks. But one of the things we were worried about is Akitas are known to be they're hunters, so little animals around them can be a problem, right? Cats. they'll hunt them, they'll go after them.
which is a good
But
thing.
no, he has no interest in that. He's good.
That's good.
They walk right up to him. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
He listens. This is one of the smartest dogs I've ever seen in my life. I trained him to obey because I train all of my dogs very rigorously to obey me by my snapping my fingers. All I have to
Yeah,
do is
sure.
snap my fingers, and they do what I want, whatever it is. I teach them individual snaps, different snaps, where I put my hand when I snap, all this stuff, and they know what it means.
Yeah.
And I've already have him trained to I can snap, he'll stop, I can snap hard, and he'll sit. I don't have to say a word. I already have him that way, and we've only had him like a week and a half. And I had him trained like that in the first day.
No, that's
He's
good.
that
Yeah,
smart.
you got to
Yeah,
teach a
he's a
dog,
really smart
otherwise
boy.
it'll be a stupid dog. You don't want
Yeah,
a stupid dog. I'm in the waiting period, Grimlock, where I'm hoping I
yeah.
don't come home at night and there's a new puppy in my living room. You see,
I think that's gonna happen. You
I,
just
you
be
know,
Yeah.
prepared.
I have expressed my opinion.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know that don't work.
It's true.
she's gonna
You know
be
that.
like, "Oh, look how cute he is." Uh-huh. And you'll be like,
Hmm.
"All
My,
right."
um,
And then in a week he'll
Chester,
be your dog.
Yeah.
Chester,
Yes.
my father expressed a similar opinion,
Mm.
and there's a damn chocolate lab running around the house as we speak.
Yeah.
So that opinion didn't go far.
Yeah. Well,
I'm one
maybe
of the people. I've always have a dog. I don't like not having one,
Yeah.
especially if I'm not here and my wife's home alone. I just feel safer if she's got
Sure.
something that'll scare people. Even if he won't do anything, he just needs that presence is enough. Especially this big son of a bitch. Yeah, presence is enough.
That's
Um,
true. Yeah, it often
yeah.
is. Yeah, I might have one thing working in my favor though. I told you that my son came and announced his wedding official, which I already knew. But
Mhm.
and my wife definitely wants to go up and visit, and of course, getting married means that babies are soon, right? Coming.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So my wife, they live 3 hours to the north in a different city, right?
Hmm.
So my wife definitely wants to go up there and visit and see them on weekends here or there. With a dog, you can't do that so easily. So
Mm.
that's might be working in my favor.
Might be.
Might be.
Might be.
Yeah.
Well, we
Unless
waited
she gets one of
about.
them little fucking dogs and it'll be in the back seat.
No.
Yeah.
No. Shut up, Grimlock.
I'm just telling you.
Well, we waited a
Supposed
few
to be my
weeks before
friend.
we got a new
That's why
dog
I'm warning you
because
now.
Thank you.
yeah, I have a feeling, Chester, that exactly the scenario you mentioned is going to happen.
Probably.
You're going to come home and there it'll be, just wagging its little tail at you. Hi, how you doing? You got treats? That'll be the thought process in that dog's mind.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, a few weeks ago, before the dog passed, we were picking up some kind of supplies from my school, and
yeah.
I looked around and I had what I needed, and I looked around and my wife was not near me, so I went searching where she went off to, and I found her. I found
Uh oh.
her. Yeah.
So
So
Chester, I'm going to put a picture. We took this at the park on Thanksgiving, actually, because we took him for a walk. Um, of him sitting in a gazebo. And this dog is so smart and so obedient. I told him sit, he sat. I told him stay, and I told him look at my wife, and he did, and she got the picture right here.
hmm
And then I told him to come, and he came right up to me, no problem. Like
oh,
he's he's very smart dog, and very listens and obedient. And those are two things I won't tolerate a dumb dog. I've never owned one, and I never will, because it's just a waste of everybody's time and love. To be honest with you, that dog, especially a dog this big, if it was dumb, that'd be dangerous. Can't
yeah,
have
no,
that.
you need to train your dog. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, good looking pup,
yeah.
and he's
He's a good
still,
boy.
is he full grown?
Yeah, he should be. We think he's around 5, so he's got probably about 5 more years in. Because he was one of my wife's kind of friends. She works at a animal rescue, a no kill shelter.
Hmm.
And this dog had been their dog at that shelter for 3 years because Akitas have a bad rap, and people often just don't want them. Because they're afraid that, they'll bite somebody or whatever. And he's a big son of a bitch. So if he wasn't listening, it would be a lot for me to stop him. If he really wanted at something, he's over 100-pound dog. That's a strong animal.
Oh yeah.
Um, so if people don't want to put that work in, plus they're high energy dogs. You got to take them for walks. You got to play with them. Got to wear them out. Um, he's not as high energy because he's a little older now, but especially when they're younger, people just don't have the patience for that.
Right.
So, unfortunately, dogs like him end up in shelters or dead because the wrong people try to own them. Because
Hmm.
everybody thinks they're ready for a dog that is a lot to deal with until they have a dog that's a lot to deal with, and then it's a different story.
That's the same with
And
everything, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, no, here in Japan, they're not their shelters are not allowed to euthanize the animals.
that's good.
So of course, where there's a will, there's a way. They have companies that will buy them like for a penny, and then they will euthanize them.
Oh, poor puppers.
Ah,
But
well,
it's a necessary evil,
it is.
unfortunately, because some people, unfortunately, humans, at being the worst possible people on the planet, we have created this creature, the domesticated dog, and we refuse to take responsibility for it. And
Oh,
because of
of
that, we
course.
allow people to breed them in ways they should not, and we allow people to do horrible things to them, like fight them and all sorts of nonsense that there's just no excuse for. Like I would have I just no, there's no excuse for irresponsibility in breeding of your animal, and there's no excuse for dog fighting. I
I
don't.
have an
I don't.
allegory for you.
Oh, go ahead, give it to me.
Mhm. Some time back, I remember there was a big push on the interwebs, and people were going on about free Britney, free Britney.
Yeah, yeah.
They freed Britney, and then now
And
we
look
have
what happened.
Britney online with knives.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Lack of accountability and
Mhm.
responsibility is humanity's greatest sin.
Yeah.
And I'm when it comes to dogs, I'm a complete radical environmentalist wacko. And the only reason is because we owe it to dogs. They're not a natural. These didn't just happen. We made these happen.
Sure.
They are our creation.
We made
So we are
Britney's too.
absolutely, yes, we did. We are absolutely responsible for what happens to these species. And the stuff that's done, like English bulldogs, man, they're a mess because of the inbreeding and the years and years and years and years of breeding them the way they've done
Oh
it.
yeah.
They can't breathe. Their legs are all stumpy. They're
Oh
oh,
yeah.
but they look so cute. Yeah, you're that dog's living in hell. Good job. It
Yeah.
looks cute though. Like, what's wrong with
That's
you?
why I went with a Schnauzer. It's a more natural dog.
Yeah.
Much less problems. But did Grimlock? Did you like my allegory?
Oh, he's back.
Yes, that was a rather interesting allegory.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
Speaking of allegories, I do have some things to talk about, so I think I'll switch over to that now.
Let's do it.
And
All right.
yeah, well, we do have some interesting allegories today that I think apply to this conversation, which is why I did it. Let me go over here and bring it up, and we'll get
Oh, you
into it.
handsome boy.
Get the puppers here, and let's go what I'm looking at here now. See what we got.
Ah, yes. Ah, yes. Peter Parker
Uh,
enters a new world in Ultimate Spider-Man trailer. And
Okay. Now, this is Jonathan Hickman,
yeah.
so the chances of it being good are high, right?
Uh huh.
I don't care for the artists, but that's subjective.
Can I ask
However,
a question?
yeah, I had one too.
Yeah.
Go ahead and
Why
ask
does
yours.
Peter Parker have messed up? Like, he looks like he's retarded.
I don't like the artist. I really don't.
Yeah.
To be fair,
And his
uh,
son too. What's going on with their eyes here?
yeah,
They're just wrong.
he's bad with eyes. I don't like this
it's
artist, but
that
that's
it's
another
that cracked digital art that they do.
Yeah, but that aside, my question is this. Why did we have to end up to the Ultimates, which is an Elseworld series, to
Uh
get
huh.
Peter Parker married with kids again? I mean,
Yeah.
why did we
Be,
have to go there to get Peter
Well,
Parker as he should be.
because one, Marvel doesn't have a plan, and they show it every fucking time that
Yeah.
they do shit like this. Because remember, their third Secret Wars. People forget that the one in 2015 was the third Secret Wars. Was supposed to be their equivalent of Crisis on Infinite Earths, where they're supposed to consolidate all of this shit. They're just going back to this shit when it was really just an excuse to get Miles Morales to 6. But
Yeah, I'm sorry. Hold on a second.
um,
This is not doing what I wanted to do for some reason. Let's do this. All right, sorry about that.
but
That's not what I
yeah,
wanted. That's sorry. Go ahead.
this just further shows that Marvel does not have a plan. It doesn't have it doesn't have any good ones, because this is what fans wanted. What, 17 years ago was One More Day,
Yeah, no,
and
it's definitely what they wanted.
and
Yeah,
and it was the story that permanently cut your reader base in half.
Yeah.
No,
no,
it's
and
look,
they
I,
and all of the ensuing stupidity sense as well, right?
I agree that it'll probably be good because of Hickman, and
It is.
Hickman will genuinely try to fix some of the stuff that they have wronged. But I will say this, because I saw how the X-Men play it out.
Mhm.
If they allow him to function on his own devices, this will probably be good. If it turns out like it did with the X-Men, this will go fucking south really fast.
It could. And to add a little bit of understanding to this, like I said, Peter Parker married to MJ with kids. There was a little Ellsworth thing with Mayday Parker, right? Which I loved.
Yeah.
And I love to see Mayday Parker. But in general, they didn't do it. However, with this, reading the article and the conversation they had with Hickman, it sounds, because this is an Elseworld, so he can do whatever he wants, right? It sounds like Peter is getting his powers as an adult married man. He's not been Spider-Man since he was a teenager. He's getting them now. So it's, how does an adult Peter Parker deal with getting these powers over a teenager? That's what it sounded like to me as I was reading it. I don't know if I like that. I kind of would rather have it just an older Peter Parker and his kids are getting into it. Other than that, everything looks normal. Jonah Jameson looks correct. Green Goblin looks good. Kingpin looks like Kingpin. It just looks correct. The only thing I didn't like about it was that insinuation that we're getting Peter's getting his power now instead of him always being Spider-Man, and just how does he deal as an older man, married man, which I'd like to see, right? But the thing, so I have no problem with this. I'm going to check it out for sure. You can read articles on it. Shut up. Go away. Yes, I want to continue. What are you doing? Oh, these channels, dude. Well, I don't want any of your stuff. It says continue. Already have an account. No, or no. No. Okay. Okay. I'm not agreeing to any of your shit, so I'll just go away then. So here it is right here. But I'm looking forward to it, but it's just, how does it take in all these years, and it shows up in Ultimate, because what's going on with Spider-Man in the main verse? It's him and Miles. They have them, coming together. For some reason, they don't really like each other now. But we have all this kind of nonsense and all these other spidery types. It's an absolute disaster. It's a mess. Spider-Man is a complete mess, right? But over here in the Ultimate side, which is their Elseworld universe, now we're getting actual Peter Parker and Mary Jane. I'm like, goodness gracious, dude. The only really thing I like about it is Hickman. So,
But remember, guys, we were told for a very long time that Miles Morales was not created to replace Peter Parker.
well, he's from Ultimates. Keep that in mind.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's my point. Somehow, some way, we ended up with actual Peter, the Peter that we all loved and read for 30 years or whatever it was. in a Elseworlds situation
You know,
instead of where
they
he
flipped it,
belongs.
didn't they? They
They
flipped it. Yeah.
completely flipped it. Yeah,
And I've said all along, some people like Miles. Cool. Sounds like they might have done some fair writing with him, but I have never needed, nor will I ever need, PC Spider-Man.
yes.
Yeah.
As our boy Eric July calls him, Peter Darker, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and your point with turning him into the Prowler makes sense, right? That would be
That's
a
what they should
smart
have
way
did.
to go with him. But
Yeah.
it's just dumb. And of course, Spider-Man 2 came out, the video game, and it's just full of woke nonsense, little
And oh,
things,
It
by the
would
and
way,
they
at
be
the
and
end of
they
that game,
force you
they
to be part of it. They
yeah,
force you to. Yeah,
and they replace Peter at the end of that game too with Miles. Straight up,
of course,
Peter retires. He's no longer Spider-Man. He's going to retire for a while, he says, and Miles takes over as the only Spider-Man.
of course.
So boom.
That's
Yeah,
always been the plan. Don't believe the
that's
rhetoric.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I
That is the
know
point of
that.
that character.
We've been saying that for
Ginger
years.
genocide. Yep. Ginger genocide. That is the whole point of that character, to replace the redheaded guy and the entire redheaded family, to be honest with you,
Well,
with some sort of black person.
all I can say
Very
is
weird.
I'm waiting. I'm curious to see how that if they release that third game, how it plays out, because Miles has never been good enough to carry anything on his own, and it is shown.
Not
That's
a
why
draw.
every time somebody runs off at the mouth of how great he is, they always talk about Into the Spider-Verse, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, Nicolas
Or-
Cage was the only thing cool about that. What are you on about?
Well,
but even
Nicolas
still,
Cage.
it again, it just goes to show, and it shows that they're still, at least in their main continuity, doing the same, doubling down on their stupidity,
Yeah, no.
trying to get over characters that have either been outright rejected or met with indifference.
Well, the problem with having a fanboy character is the fanboy is only as good as the main character it's fanning of, right?
Yep.
And Miles has got some run out of that, but you can't take the fanboy and now make him the thing. They tried that with Miss Marvel. Initially, it was good, and then it got really bad. Of course, it got bad for different reasons, but they're doing the same thing with Miles. Like I said, in that Spider-Man 2 game, it's full of woke nonsense, and they force you to watch it. You can't move from it, you can't change from it. You get to do all these things. There's actually a thing in that game where there's a blind black, of course she's a black girl, and you have to do graffiti with her, which you can't see it because she's blind. Sweet.
Which makes no fucking.
And then, of course, getting the two gay boys together for homecoming. Yep.
Yeah, because that happens. Like that. Like again, it goes to show you how detached these people
as
are
if
from
Spider-Man doesn't
reality.
have something better to do.
But but even that, it's not just that. Two gay kids in high school want to get together, so they turn to a popular kid to hook them up. It's like, yeah, that never happens. Sorry.
When has Peter ever been
that
popular? I guess Miles is that.
No,
he's a better version.
It was Miles. No, it was Miles.
Miles is better at everything. He's perfect. He makes no mistakes.
To be completely fair, all the SJW shit they made you do with Miles, which it's like, come on, could you be any more nail on
that's fair.
nail on the head with this shit? But no, but even still, again, that in high school that never happens, because for one, everybody who remembers high school knows how clique orientated that is.
Sure.
Two random gay kids are not going up to a popular kid looking for a hookup. Okay, it just doesn't happen. So the fact that they wasted time and money and made people waste time out of their lives to play that shit is hilarious to me.
The fact that any of it's in there, like,
oh yeah,
it's a Spider-Man game. The only reason why I gave a remote pass to the original Miles Morales expansion, because that's what it was, to the original Spider-Man game, is it was still a Spider-Man game. I was still doing Spider-Man shit. I mean, yeah, there was some weird side stuff you could do here or there, but by and large, you could completely ignore that if you wanted to and just go do Spider-Man shit. So, why in the world would they think that people want to suddenly be a dating simulator in a Spider-Man game. I don't care. Like people say, well, sometimes I don't care what happens in the comic books. I'm not playing a comic book. I'm playing a video
because
game.
because the people that they allowed to write that script were a bunch of fat lesbians, feminists,
Mhm.
Yep.
who think that people would actually want to do that because that's what. Well, again, and to show that these people are mentally ill, this revisionist history that they have of their own time in high school, that they would have done this and everybody would have stood and cheered. No, no, honey, nobody cared about you and your
Nobody
fat
gave a
dyke
shit.
friend.
I'm
They
like,
Nobody
didn't.
gave a shit.
do they not remember high school?
Well, here's the crazy
Well,
thing.
they've never moved past it, but um
Their idealized vision of it anyway. They never got out of it.
to kind of veer off, there's an actual music video of by this artist called Tame Impala. About us, I forgot the name of the song, but the video is cool as fuck. The video starts as a wedding, and it shows you the wedding as it is, but it goes in a loop, and each time the loop begins again, the wedding is a bit is rethought, it's revisioned, it's cleaner, the people are nicer, everything is cool, and then at the end of the video, reality comes crashing through the revisionist shit. It starts tearing shit up. And it's a cool but these people, they keep living that loop of high school and they keep reimagining it. And the reimagining that everybody would have just accepted them and loved their feminist, intersectionalist, lesbian bullshit. So, meanwhile, Steve Ditko is rolling over in his grave,
And
looking
Stan.
at this shit.
But all right. Well, at least we got this Hickman thing in the Ultimate Universe, which could be interesting. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to some more good news. I have good news today.
Good news is G.I. Joe, a real American hero, is a homecoming for writer Larry Hama.
Larry
Hama!
Hama's back.
Hama!
He's been back for
Damn.
3 years.
I know but it keeps getting canceled and sold to other companies, and then they
Yeah, because
revitalize it.
they fucked it up beyond repair. IDW fucked up Transformers and G.I. Joe simultaneously to the point where other companies ended up having to get it. So yeah,
Yep. So
it did
Skybound.
the whole. Yeah, that's Kirkman's slash imprint partnership that he has with Image, because they also have Transformers.
Right. They got Transformers and G.I. Joe. So but the point is we got more of Larry Hama free to do his G.I. Joe as he likes. Nice. Because that was the thing I took away from it. This Skybound company, which is you said who was it, Hickman, or who owns that? Kirkman. Yeah,
Roger
Kirkman.
Kirkman.
He is letting Hama do his thing. Just go ahead, do your thing. So sweet.
Rock out.
Yeah. And that's cool. I've never really was a big GI Joe guy or a Transformer guy. But it's nice to see the boss back in charge, right?
Yep.
So I just thought it was a good piece of news.
It is. It's interesting. I'm going to go back to something we were just talking about with Spider-Man real quick. It's interesting that they think that kids in high school want to play gay matchmaker or do any of that weird shit. When I see videos all the time now, these especially young men, these young men ain't down with the rainbow like they think they pretend in Hollywood and other places they are. I have never heard so many F-bombs since I was in high school in some of these videos. Like any argument you see nowadays on these videos, you can find them online. These kids are high school age, maybe just out of high school, and it's replete with certain gay slurs you're not supposed to say on YouTube.
Well, they're all
Even on
FPS
YouTube.
kids, right?
Yeah, even on YouTube you see it now more than I've seen it in years. And I just don't think the culture of the youth is where these people think it is. I just don't think that's the reality of on the ground.
They had no any kind of hindrance to their childhood. They didn't have to get their mouths washed out with soap like we did.
Yep.
And which is an awful experience, by the way. But it's effective. But also, as an adult, you understand that sure, expletives can be useful. They are a valuable part of cultural language, but they're also more valuable when they're used less often, right?
Correct.
And they don't understand that because you're right. It's just replete with f bombs all over the place, just constant, constant, constant. And it's not
Yeah.
just the Americans, also the Brits and the Australians.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It's I and to be honest with you, I would prefer a less vulgar society out in the open, but I do like that it shows that the ridiculous, let's just call it what it is, propaganda campaigns at these schools are just not working. Not
Mhm.
like they think they are. Because if they were, that wouldn't be happening. Uh, and that's a good thing because I would much rather a impolite, free society than a nice, tight, polite one where they never say the wrong words because that's just sounds like hell to me.
I'll be
That
back in
sounds
it.
like that sounds like Demolition Man, and I don't want Demolition Man world. I'm good. I like the world a little messy. But Mike, you remember 5, 10 years ago the internet that we had and how much of the Wild West it was and how beautiful it
Oh yeah.
was. It was beautiful. It was chaos. It was sometimes very dark, but it was just beautiful. And it was beautiful because it was free. People could say pretty much anything they wanted to pretty much anyone they wanted, and often as they like. And by and large, it was perfectly fine. There was a few people hurt themselves or did stupid things here or there, but by and large, it was fine. Everybody sucked it up, Buttercup. Nobody exploded because they heard naughty words. Uh, I long for those days again, and the only reason is not so much so we can come out here and just start saying what, just start calling people a bunch of names, but because it's just I think society's healthier. I think it's better when you have fundamentally the ability to say anything. When we don't
No, yeah.
have taboos like that, that really serve no purpose other than to coddle people's feelings.
Wait a minute. I thought
Um,
I was the free speech fundamentalist here.
well, I no 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 no. Let me be very clear. I'm not talking necessarily about free speech, even though it's basically the same thing. I'm talking about open and honest speech. I want an honest society. I don't want people to play this game where we're just doing it right now, talking about the f bomb. We all know what word we're talking about, but you can't say it on YouTube because YouTube gets all pissy about it. I don't like that. I don't like this self censorship bullshit that people have to do. I would much rather people be able to just be honest and open and say what they actually feel and think. That does not mean that in certain circumstances with certain people there shouldn't be, you know, punishments. Like our entire government apparatus lying to us about COVID, for instance. Somebody
Oh,
should have got punished for that.
well,
But yet,
that's coming on hard right now. We're getting a lot of
yeah,
information.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but that's my point. I would much rather have an open. See, people use the word free and they use it as synonymous with open, and it's not technically the same thing. I want everybody to be able to say whatever they want as long as it's the truth and as long as what they're saying has a truthful impact on society. So like if a
Yeah.
president gets up there and lies and says some things that hurt people or get people killed or whatever, that's a lot more damaging than if just some douchebag on Twitter says
Oh,
a no word.
right. No, no, of course, I don't really mind it. They swear so much, but it is a bit over the top. But
Yep.
no, I am a free speech absolutist. But I also understand if you go out there and you say something and people act on your request and people get hurt, well, you have to take responsibility for what you said. I mean, I'm not saying that there's not a free speech without consequence. Of course, it depends on what you say and how you say it. But
Well,
what I mean is, governments shouldn't get involved. The
I don't
government
think
shouldn't be
any
involved. There shouldn't be
institution.
laws about speech from a government whatsoever. If you say, go kill this person, and someone does it, well, that's different. Now we have a lawsuit, but it's being applied to you orchestrating something. It isn't your speech
Yep.
that's being hindered. This is
It's
my point.
incitement.
It's incitement,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
But I don't think government should get involved in that whatsoever.
I would take that one step further. I don't think any
Ooh.
institution with direct power over someone's life or livelihood, which is really the same thing, those are synonyms, people, uh, should be able to do that either. It should be able. There should be. You should. When we say we want, like, and you've said this before too, that the Constitution should not and does not, in fact, except for in modern interpretations, only apply to uh, the government. It also applies to everybody. You're not allowed to. I'm not allowed to infringe on your First Amendment rights any more than you are, and any more than you are me or whatever. Right? You can actually go to jail for violating someone's civil rights. That's a real thing that can happen, and you can definitely be sued for it. So I think that's fine. I don't think there's any problem with that. I just don't think I agree with you. I don't want the government to be able to do it, and I don't want private organizations to be able to do it either. We should extend that to any organizational institutional power should not be allowed, be permitted to punish somebody for lawful speech. If what they're saying is legal and true, then it I don't care if it's unkind. I don't care if it's mean. I don't care if it hurts someone's feelings. I don't care if it's racist or sexist or bigoted or whatever the fuck buzzword you want to come up with. Is it truthful? Meaning can't say that it's false. You can't actually objectively say it's false. And is it legal? Meaning it's not incitement, actual incitement, not just he hurt my feelings, so that made me want to kill myself. No, not actual incitement to violence. We have these long-standing rules in America, especially of what speech is permitted and what isn't. But typically, the way we solve most of those cases is we do it with, you know, slander and libel. Whereas if you lie about somebody and they can show material damage because of it, they can sue you for it. I've always said that's good, but it's not good enough. It should go farther. It should apply to everyone and everything in this country. And if it's bad enough, it should be criminal. If what I said about somebody that was untrue caused them to, be seriously injured in some way, it shouldn't just be I can get money out of them for it. That motherfucker should go to jail. What's the difference between functionally? What's the difference between if somebody walks up to me and starts punching me in the face, or somebody says some things about me that are untrue, so somebody else gets mad and starts punching me in the face? At the end of the day, I'm still getting punched in the damn face. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Uh, that's my take on it. I would actually go further. I just wouldn't call it free speech because I don't think anybody actually truly wants that. They want mostly free speech
Mhm.
because there's limits that everybody has. Like if you truly wanted complete and absolute free speech, then people should be allowed to lie about anything. They should be allowed to basically commit verbal fraud. They should be allowed to incite all these things. But everybody says, okay, well that has to be the limit, just because otherwise society would fall the fuck apart. Um, and I agree with that. So it's a semantic argument, but when we're
It
talking
is.
about law, that's what laws are. They're semantics.
That's true.
So yeah, that's why I don't go that far. But no, I agree with you. I don't want the government telling anybody. That's why I don't like what the government was doing with Twitter and what they do with these social media companies, where they basically pay these social media companies to take down information that they don't like. I don't care if the information's untrue. The government has no business doing that.
No, they
Courts need
don't.
to do that.
If
That's the
people want to
court's
burn
job.
themselves down, let them do it.
Let them do it.
But that's the same thing with me on many subjects. Like for instance,
Yep.
I never understood why, say, one of the hot topics, why gay marriage was ever illegal. I don't understand
Hmm.
why there are laws telling me, what drugs I can do and can't do. I mean, having laws against being inebriated with some manner of drug and driving a vehicle or flying a plane, sure. Sure, I get that, but you're putting other people in danger. But if I'm in my home
Yeah.
doing some kind of drug, which for me doesn't make sense because I don't do drugs, but you know what I mean. What the hell is the government telling you can or can't do? That doesn't make sense to me. If someone is old enough and they want to make a decision to kill themselves, euthanasia, why is it illegal? I don't understand
Exactly.
these
I
concepts.
agree.
It
I
doesn't
I
make
think
sense
it's
to me.
very simple. You can break it down to a very simple, and I did this the other day. Does it impose a cost on someone else for me to do this thing?
That's right.
If it does not, then I should be able to do the thing.
That's right.
Period. Whatever that thing, even if it's retarded, I don't care. Cut my dick off. All right. Go cut your dick
Well,
off.
they're
Like, that's
doing
your
that
business.
officially now. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
care what you
yeah.
say.
Cut your leg off. I don't care as long as I don't have to pay for it and I'm not inconvenienced materially. And I mean even inconvenienced, not just harmed, but actually have to change my behavior, my legal behavior around you. As long as I don't have to do that for the actions that you're taking, then I don't have any problem with you taking those actions. There are plenty of
Fair enough.
functional alcoholics, for instance, right? And very many in America, especially, that they're lushes. They drink and they drink a lot, but they don't cause anybody problems.
Yeah, but
They
that's
just
their
drink.
business. I don't care.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, we are seeing some pullbacks on those kind of things. I don't want to get into a political conversation because I do want to talk about failure
Uh-oh.
and,
Not failure.
and financial disasters. Here's a good one.
Oh no. Here's in fact maybe the biggest one. The Marvels.
Now
The
this,
infamous movie that nobody asked for, but for
right?
some reason Disney and Marvel were very adamant they were going to make and put out into the world. Well, how'd that turn out?
Well, this is about all the money it's going to get because it's had its run and it's not going to get any more. So you're looking
Yeah.
at them putting about 90 million in their pocket, which depending on the movie is nothing to sneeze at. However, this movie that equates to around $410 million loss. So and it's probably a little more. So this is basically a $500 million bomb.
Yep.
Wow, dude. And here, the interesting thing about it, we talked about this a little bit last time we were on a couple weeks ago. Oh, by the way, it only took me a day or so to get unsore from the dynamite jump, which was nice. Yeah, I'm glad. Well, I'm a bit older. I was worried it was going to stick with me a week or so. But anyway, now if you look to some of the Comicsgate, Gamergate guys who are reviewing this movie, they said that the acting is better. Brie Larson actually is better. They have very little complaint about over the top wokeness. They have very little complaint about the ladies in it at all. Now, of course, there is the whole premise is woke, but I mean, their complaints weren't about those ladies at all. It was about this bad special effects, and very very confusing and stupid plot and writing. So it's very interesting in this. Of course, they blame us. You make a movie for women, and somehow the men are responsible. But whatever. But if you go and look at the action, I'm talking about Comicsgate and Gamergate people, right? What we'd be called alt right, I guess. They're not complaining about the things you would expect them complaining about with this movie. They're not. And I've heard several people actually say Brie did better.
Yeah, but I mean,
A lot of these films, especially the Marvel ones, the CGI and the special effects have been asked for a long time.
It's weird, isn't it?
Um,
It's weird.
it's very weird because where the hell's all that money going? Then you have a movie like The Creator come out a few months ago, and the special effects were phenomenal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Especially for the
Everyone
budget
said
they were
so.
playing with,
Yeah.
did a fantastic job. So what's
You-
going on, Marvel? What's
It
going on,
is
Disney? Where's
weird.
that money going? Where's that money actually going?
Yeah, no, it's a
Because it's
good
going
question.
somewhere.
What do
how,
you
how
want to say,
about this?
Grimlock?
You had a movie like Super Mario that was completely CGI'd, and it didn't
It was
cost
fun.
half of what this. But I'm saying it didn't cost half of what this movie cost. And let's be honest, even if you say, "Oh,
I love you."
even
Right,
even
Jack, calm
if you
down.
take even if you take the, oh well, Brie Larson and Samuel Jackson, have hefty price tags. Even if you use that as, this is not exactly what you would call a star-studded cast.
No.
No offense to the other women, but they're nobodies comparatively. I mean, they're just getting started in their careers, so they're not commanding those kind of salaries.
No,
So
Sam Jackson's the most expensive thing in that movie, dude. Easy. Yeah.
Yeah. So even with that, it's like, okay, where the fuck are you spending this money?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. We've been kind of edging around this for years, huh, guys? What's going on with these budgets, dude?
But also, we fucking told you so. We told you this shit would fail. We told you why this shit would fail, and it's basically them just ignoring every warning sign you could possibly get.
Right. No, and it's
If you're walking down a dark hallway and there's a series of signs that says warning, lunatic with a shotgun at the end of the hallway,
Mhm.
and you keep going down this hallway and it's like, hey, this guy's fucking nuts, don't go. Another sign says turn back now, you're about to die. You keep fucking going and the psycho's there on the other end and he blasts you the fuck away with this shotgun and goes, how come nobody saw this coming? No, motherfucker, you ignored every warning sign that there was
oh no, yeah.
because you somehow thought you had the answers. We have, when I say we, I mean collectively as comic fans and whatnot.
Oh,
We have
I
rejected,
was
by and large,
thinking the
Captain
royal we.
Marvel. No, well, no, because this is more than a royal we. This is something that has, in the case of Captain Marvel, this has been going on for 11 years now. We have, by and large, rejected the Kelly Sue DeConnick version of Carol Danvers, which these two movies were based on,
Sure, of course, that's true.
for 11 years. She was rejected from day one. So it's not like they did not, we didn't tell them. Also, when the movie came along, when the first movie came along, not just us as comic fans, but most of the audience, women in particular, rejected Brie Larson.
Oh yeah.
We have this thing called demographics, and it shows in both movies that at least 60% of the audience was fucking men. You know, the people that, that get blamed for these movies
Well, it's
failing.
a comic book movie.
Yeah, but I'm saying these movies was created for the audience, as we have said numerous times, an audience that does not exist.
No, it's true. You're right. And
This
you're
this
you
mythical.
and Thundero's grandma both are killing me today, just so you know.
Just I do that to you.
I am speaking as an urbane, so
Yes,
you
you
can
are.
lay
That
off.
is true. I give you leeway for that. That is true. Yeah.
No, no. They had numerous warnings. They had numerous signs
Yeah, yeah.
that have shown rejection. For example, like I just mentioned, Captain Marvel is on its 15th volume in comic books. It's 15th because it's been canceled and rebooted 9 times since 2012.
Yeah, no. They just can't. They
By
need it,
by
but it ain't selling
but
because
by
they
by comparison, because I was going to mention this earlier, they finally gave Blade a series with a good writer. Brian Edward Hill is writing this. I didn't know this until just yesterday when I was looking for something else and I saw that there's new Blade comics. I'm like, wait, when the fuck did this happen? Apparently, it started 3 months ago. No advertisement, but they've constantly advertised Captain Marvel.
right. Because they need the female
Blade,
head instead of the Spider-Man. But
but
the problem with it is
but
with
go,
Grimlock that they've missed the heart that she has. Because
but
if you want to
yeah,
have a successful character, there needs to be the heart moment, and they completely washed it all over. Is the problem?
but the point is, she's on her 15th volume.
Yeah, yeah.
Blade is on only his 4th,
Mhm.
and he's an older character.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know.
So
Is he older?
Yeah. Tomb of Dracula was before she started appearing in Captain Marvel,
No,
the
fair
original
enough.
Captain.
Fair enough.
But we're talking about characters. Carol Danvers was rejected. Brie Larson was rejected. Then Kamala Khan has by and large been rejected. So now two of your three are characters that nobody cared about previously. Before this, the Kamala Khan TV show was the worst rated one before Secret Invasion came along. It was the worst one.
Nah, no one's interested.
And the audience that it was trying to appeal to did not come to watch it. They wrote that, from what I understand, they wrote that show for young girls. Young girls didn't come to watch it.
Well,
There's probably more older white men that watched Miss Marvel than
right,
young
and
girls.
because they're
So
missing the point, though, Grimlock. Comic books are
we know
for
that.
boys. We know this. And of course, Ben over here says he always thought Blake Lively would have made a better Captain Marvel. Yeah, I always thought Emily Blunt.
Ben,
But
the cute blonde at your local Walmart or grocery store would have been a better Captain Marvel
that's
than Brie
fair.
Larson.
That's fair.
But I mean, you just needed somebody with a soul.
Yeah, no, she's not the greatest actress, unfortunately. She can't really sell it. But it is an interesting little juxtaposition, the little juxtaposition we can look at here. This movie, it isn't actually packed with woke stuff. It is a made for females movie. It's made for women,
Yep.
obviously, but it's not
Which,
super
got a
woke.
lot of pushback for somebody having the audacity to say that.
Yeah, but the thing with it is, comic book movies. The reason girls will go to the movies with their boyfriends or their husbands, is because they want to see the handsome guy, right?
Yes,
They're not
we know
interested in
that.
the girls whatsoever. It's like the people writing this do you not understand females. But if you juxtapose this to Barbie, now Barbie is so hardcore woke that it came back on fed on itself. Right?
Yes,
Hardcore woke, right? And that made a billion and a half dollars, dude. That thing was a
yes,
freaking
because
landslide. But it's a movie that
yeah,
for women, right?
but the women, but most women that I watched that when they did their reviews that I watched, yeah, they said we saw the woke shit in it, and a lot of them intentionally ignored it. They said we didn't care
Yeah.
about the intersectional bullshit. We had just, and this is true.
They just
I
wanted
I
Barbie.
understand this feeling. They said we have been waiting for a Barbie movie
Hmm.
all our lives, and they
Sure.
gave us something. It looked like Barbie. She acted like Barbie. The world was what we imagined it would be, and fair play.
Fair play. But I'm just saying when
And
you
the
juxtapose
numbers showed
those
it.
two, it's very interesting. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's just the misunderstanding of what comic books are. And of
Well,
course, it brings us into this inability of particularly seeing Western women, their inability to share, right? Because it's like, all right, you have all your women stuff, which is the majority of things in life, right? Why can't men and boys have something? But of course, they can't. They're
well,
not allowed to have
I'll,
something unless women are involved. Can't have it,
I'll
right?
I'll say it's not. I won't even say it's most women. It's a small group of women that have managed to amass either power or influence. Because they to be honest, they ignore what the average female fan wants because the average female fan, in truth, wants what the average male fan wants. The average female fan don't want to see ugly people on the screen. They want to see pretty people,
Yeah, particularly, Chris Hemsworth, it seems.
especially guys.
Yeah. And I
But
understand he's a dish. I get it.
yeah,
Yeah.
but no, it's no. They pretend, like you said, they they don't understand. Well, of course, like Chris Gore had got a lot of pushback from saying that Disney's decision. I'm trying to phrase it the way he said. Disney's decision to turn two of the biggest boy brands into girl brands could irreversibly damage Hollywood going forward
It's possible.
because that's what they've
Yeah.
done.
And the sad thing
But
is they
that's
bought them Grimlock in the beginning saying we bought these for the boy market. They said that in the very beginning. The reason why we bought this because we wanted a boy IP.
yeah, but
It
see,
didn't last.
buying something and having the ability to run it is two different things.
Well, because they can't get out of their own way.
If
Um,
if well look, no, it's just okay. If you're a baker
mhm,
and you buy a steakhouse,
mhm, mhm.
you got to learn some new shit because you can't run a steakhouse the way you run a bakery. Disney, for better or worse, is a in-house, mostly girls brand
It is girls' brand.
because
Yeah.
because and to show that they're bad at running anything that they haven't created. Somebody had mentioned this on Twitter a couple of days ago, but it made sense. Disney can't get the fucking Muppets right.
No, dude, that's weird, isn't it?
They can't. They've owned the Muppets for 30 years now, and they can't get them right. And if you think about it, the Muppets have an even bigger mass appeal than Marvel or Star Wars, because who the fuck don't know what a Muppet is in this day and age?
Right.
Even if you don't, even if you're too young to or wasn't around for the original show of the 70s and 80s, or you missed Fraggle Rock, or some of those shows, you've seen Sesame Street.
It's true,
You've
Alan.
seen them somewhere.
Yeah.
They have
No.
been everywhere in American pop culture. I mean, to not know who Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy is next to impossible. But they can't get that brand right, and that's as fat. And you didn't even have to change anything about them. They was already there.
My brain just keeps saying Urbane.
This fucking guy.
All right. But this conversation is larger than just this one, though. Let's look at the bigger picture, okay? Because here we have now this right here is failure in so many levels. Go ahead, Thunder.
Disney's Wish bombs at Thanksgiving box office. Disney
One of
win.
the best box office weekends in the year. Thanksgiving weekend, right? But now there's several layers here. One, this is supposedly initially it didn't turn out that way, but initially this was to celebrate the 100th year celebration of Disney, which is a feat. And they really haven't been promoting that. When I heard that mentioned, I was like, it's the 100th year. They haven't really been promoting that it is their 100th year. Usually companies are all over that kind of stuff, but they haven't been, right? Which is a failure. Secondly, if you want to have some kind of special that is promoting and talking all about the things Disney's done in the 100 years, do like old Walt used to do and put a documentary together, right? I mean, he knew how to handle it. But this situation right here, and before we get into all of the nonsense with this, because this movie is stupid. It's stupid what they did with this movie. When they talk about bombing, let me show you. Let me show you. Now it's Monday here or Sunday, right? So it's the end of that from Thanksgiving on run, Wednesday on, right? Let me show you what this movie has made. You see that? You see that? 19.5 million since Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that ain't
Only a boring historical drama beat it.
Yep. A freaking prequel to the Hunger Games.
Yeah, but that's dead in the water too. That's dead in the water too. But it's like, dude, Thanksgiving, which I hear is actually a pretty good horror movie. Of course, it's not doing very well, but then again, horror movies never make huge money, but they're so cheap. So, but that is catastrophic, dude. This is Thanksgiving weekend, dude, and they've made less than 20 million. That's insane. That is insane, dude. And keep in mind, this is supposed to be their 100-year celebration movie, which you probably didn't hear anything about because they didn't advertise it well, which is ridiculous. Thor has always been a bit of a princess, Elrod says. Well, that's kind of true. But this movie right here, let me explain the premise of it. Aside from all the other era, the art looks horrible. There's many issues, but let me just explain the premise. You have a father figure, a king, right? Which I think is voiced by Chris Pine. And so good for him making money. And he basically, they make him maniacal, but in general, he's saying that you can't have everything you want. You can't give people everything they want. It's not good for them, which is an extremely true statement, right? But oh no, just like all these little woke tards, spoiled brats we got running around all over the interwebs these days, she thinks that everyone needs to have everything they want all the time. Everyone should get a wish. And that's the premise of this movie. The premise
Yep.
is stupid. It's like an 8-year-old saying, "I want candy for breakfast," is what it is. And adults wrote this shit.
Wow. Chronologically, maybe. Yeah, no. I remember watching the trailers for this. They'd pop up every now and again, or I think the wife and I saw them at a movie, and we just rolled our eyes at it because it just. I mean, look at this guy. Your classic. What would be in any other era would be a hero looking character, right?
That's
He's
true, Elder.
designed to look heroic. Yeah. He's even got a cape for crying out loud.
Yeah.
He's designed to look heroic, and of course, they have to subvert your expectations and make him the baddie. Um, there's just so many things about this film that I saw even from the trailers that I was just like, nah, I'm good.
And
Pass,
the
hard pass.
critics
See,
hate it.
my wife used to be a hardcore Disney chick. I'm talking hardcore, bro.
Hmm.
She has a collection that she had before we got married of mugs, like Disney mugs. You know, they're specialized mugs they put out. They're collectors ones. She's got, I don't know, a couple hundred of them probably. We have them in a cabinet here. Um, Obviously, I don't permit such nonsense nowadays. Don't be bringing that Disney shit in my house. But uh, yeah. So she was a hardcore Disney person. Loves Disney. Loved it for so long. One of her mom's biggest dreams was to take the whole family to Disney World and da 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 da, like full on Disney cultists, right?
Sure.
Um, and when she saw this movie, she literally rolled her eyes and said, "That looks stupid. That just looks terrible."
Yeah, the art's not
Um,
good. Yeah. But I
the
mean,
art's
we mentioned it
bad. The
before.
premise is bad. There's no whimsy to it.
No.
There's, what the thing that made Disney great was the whimsy. Was the it had. I mean, for crying out loud, we call it Disney style. It's named after him
Yeah.
because he created it effectively. Uh,
Well, Disney
Anime
is one of the
exists the
biggest
way that
female
it does.
IPs there is.
Yes, anime exists the way that it does, and in the aesthetic that it does, largely because of Walt Disney. Like this, the Disney company and Disney style is one of the most influential things in the history of art, as far as commercially. Um, and they've lost their audience because they've, for some reason, fooled themselves into thinking that their audience isn't what their audience is. Exact same thing that we were just talking about with comic books.
Mm.
The audience for Disney is white women
Yeah.
and some white men too, but by and large, white women, white women. That's their audience. They don't have to like that fact, but it's true. And they, for some reason, have decided that they no longer want to cater to what white women like and what white women want, and they make things that are intentionally, what's the word I want to use? What's the word I'm looking for? Exclusionary to what a white female audience would be after. This movie is no exception to that. You see, when I talk about how he's a very good-looking dude, right? He's classically designed to be a classically handsome man.
Well, it's Chris Pine.
Yeah,
We saw
the
Gal Gadot
women.
drooling over him. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Oh
and
yeah.
he was like, "Nah." He's like, "I'm good."
No, good babe.
The women, um, there's a reason why Beauty and the Beast is classic and good subversion of your expectations. There's a reason why that works in that story because Gaston is the one everybody should love. He's beautiful, he's strong, he's brave, he's all these
Heroic.
things.
Yeah.
He's heroic, and the Beast is none of those things, at least at first, right? He's a complete prick, a beast, quite literally. That's the point of that movie. But if you do that in every movie, it doesn't work, guys. You can't always subvert expectations.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I order a steak, I just want a steak. I
Sure.
know it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I just want you to give me what I asked for. The reason why the Mario movie worked so beautifully is because it was exactly what everybody wanted it to be.
Yeah.
It was
It
just
was
Mario.
exactly
That
what
was
it
it.
was, should be, yeah. And you
Yeah.
notice one thing that no one has said anything about, and of course there's no reason to, is this is some Latino girl.
Yeah.
No one gives a shit. Matter of fact, Disney should do more princesses from different parts in the world. Where's an African princess? Where's a Siamese princess? An Indian princess? I mean, yeah, they should do that. Not one person have I heard say anything at all about the race of this
I would
girl. No
say
one cares.
of any of the major entertainment companies, Disney's always kind of been the best about, at least since I've been
Yeah,
alive.
and it's
I
cool.
mean, Aladdin is the only is in and I'll say this to now, is still the only good Disney movie ever made, and it's about Arabs. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
yeah. I mean,
Aladdin and Jasmine and the King and all these the Sultan,
Mulan.
they're all
Yeah.
Arab. There's Milan, another one. Milan's okay. I'm not a huge hater of the original Milan, but
Yeah, they
it's
had
just
an
not for me.
Aztec
But
one,
Aladdin,
but I mean
yep,
the reason I say that is because immediately with the failure of this, they're already calling us all racist
yeah,
immediately,
yeah.
right?
It couldn't just be
Um,
that they completely and utterly misunderstand their own audience and their own target
it made a
demographic,
horrible
and
movie,
they're
yeah,
not catering to it.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
couldn't
my
be that.
point I'm trying to make is one, it doesn't matter. Two, I haven't
No.
heard anybody other than them say anything
Yes,
about the race of this girl. Anybody, right? Because it's not the problem. It's not the point.
no.
Having a Disney film with a different cultural, showing us a new culture is great. That's the whole
And
freaking point.
Esther, I'm not going to stand for it. They have an African one. She's a lion. Thank you.
Oh, fine. That was stolen from a Japanese animation, though. Complete ripoff. Yeah.
Uh,
Well, technically, they have Dumbo's mom.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Dumbo's mom. Yeah,
Dumbo's mom.
it's true.
But anyway, this and another thing you're getting a lot of complaint because the critics absolutely hate this movie. They hate it, right?
Yep.
And one of the things that the common remark we're getting is this is just a movie length advertisement for Disney. It's all this
Yep.
wink, wink. Remember, wink, remember. It's all of that.
Panderstone, as
Yeah,
South Park has dubbed it. It's just all Panderstone all
yeah.
the time, and nobody wants to watch that. They got away with it for a little while because they had hot IPs. You know, Jim Cornette, the famous wrestling manager and now podcaster, he has a saying that if you're over, you can get away with stuff. You
Oh
can
yeah,
do stuff that doesn't make sense or doesn't look good as long as the people don't care. If they love you, they love you. You're in. Disney was loved, was beloved by whole generations of people. Then they had this big hit with the MCU, brought in a whole new generations of people. They were winning. They would screw up, but didn't matter. What didn't slow them down, didn't stop. And then one day that just went away. They weren't over like that anymore for various reasons. And now all of their faults aren't that you can't hide them. You don't have anything. You don't have the roar of the crowd to hide behind
no,
anymore.
no,
That's gone.
they lost that. Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're paying for it, and it couldn't happen to a better company.
No, they deserve every bit of
You know what we need is Disney to be completely sold. And then
it.
the
Yep.
new company has one chance to come in and save it. Because if you have a new company buy it, everyone's like, all right, let's wait and see. And they come out and bang it, you're good. You can save Disney, but it's like a one-shot deal, baby. And you got to have a
Well,
complete new
they're not going to do
ownership.
it because they're already fucking it up. They're already.
But yeah,
It
but I
might
mean,
be
you
too.
need a completely new ownership, a new management, completely new shop. If you got a completely new shop in front of Disney, they would have a one-shot deal to get it back on track. They would.
I I think in certain cases, by the time that happens, it'll be too damaged. I actually think it'll be damaged beyond repair by the time they sell it,
Maybe. Yeah, they are beating
and
it into the ground. So
and especially who they sell it to. Because if they sell it to Apple, yeah, I'm sure people are just going to be doing backflips in the streets because of that. No,
well, if they sell it
part
to
of the
Apple, I'm
problem.
worried what's going to happen between Donald and Mickey, to be honest with you.
Well, I'll say that, but part of this is like you're just talking about the audiences and understanding the audiences.
Yeah.
It's not that they don't understand. This is arrogance on display. This was, like I said, they haven't gotten any of the brands that they have purchased. They have not gotten them right. The MCU was already in motion prior to them purchasing Marvel, so they don't get any credit for any of that. None at all.
Look at this,
True.
dude.
They get none.
Opening weekend,
So,
25 million.
so the thing is, they were arrogant enough to believe that they could change. They bought these IPs because they was popular, and most of them they had an idea, but they was arrogant enough to think that they could change the demographics to ones that was more friendly to what they wanted to do because they thought that, oh, these brands are so popular, we could just slap the name on anything and they'll buy it. And then you couple that with the fact that you got a bunch of fucking people in marketing or in positions of power influence, like I mentioned before, that came in with their intersectional bullshit and told the higher ups that this will sell because this is mainstream or whatever. Or furthermore, you just have motherfuckers on the board like BlackRock that says it's important because we'll take our money and go
Right.
home if you don't make it important.
ESG, yeah.
Um,
That's true.
so, but none of that has worked. None of it has succeeded. There has not been a single time where a company has tried to change the demographics of something that was popular and make it work. It's never worked. I'll give you another example. The Black Panther and Storm marriage. That was done entirely to get a demographic of girls, black girls in particular, to buy Marvel Comics because they was the lowest buying demographic. Did putting those two together the way that they did help it at all? No. The demographics did not change one bit. That's why they ended up abandoning it.
Mm-hmm.
It did not work.
Yeah. See, I
You
didn't mind it,
cannot.
but the general
I
audience
did.
didn't like it. Yeah.
I did. I despised it. I still despise it. I hate whenever fuckers go on Google and try to talk to me like that was a big fucking deal. I'm like, you wasn't buying Marvel. You wasn't even casually looking at Marvel when that shit happened. It was
Yeah,
such a
that's
bullshit.
true.
It was a bullshit and haphazard cash grab that failed.
Was that
And like,
part of Priest's run, or was that
no,
after him?
this was no, that was part of. Well, actually, I can't even blame Reggie Hudlin for that because they had three different authors on that because that was done during Civil War because that's how much they actually cared about that marriage is that they did it during the early parts of Civil War. So yeah,
Yeah.
all these other comic book marriages that had their big moments off to themselves. Oh yeah, come check out Storm and Black Panther while Tony Stark and Captain America are getting ready to kill each other.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Again,
But because there were certain parts of that run I didn't mind. But Christopher Priest, he killed it, man.
yeah.
But you know what I always thought they should have done was had Storm with Summers Scott.
Oh,
And
well,
have
that's good.
Wolverine won the battle and got Jean Grey, and then of course she died because everything in Logan's life needs to be tragic. But I always thought that we should have had Cyclops and Storm together. It would have been better.
No, hell no.
I think I
I
would
would
have
have
liked it.
I would have set my X-Men books on fire.
No, because
Chester,
she
you
could have
trolling?
changed him and made him less of a prick.
Oh
No,
God,
no.
Chester would relate to the prick character. That checks.
Hey, now,
out.
but anyway, this
No.
movie is bombing
I never
harshly, dude.
I never liked
Harshly.
I never liked the Cyclops Wolverine Jean triangle either. Just be done with
I,
that. The better pairing is Storm and Wolverine. Let him be happy for once. I mean, the nigga's almost 200 years old. Can he have one happy part of his life? Just one?
That's fair.
I mean, he
That's
could
fair.
get him a nice, beautiful African goddess for a while. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Wolverine?
It's gonna end
And
tragically because he's
Storm?
gonna outlive her anyway.
No,
That's
no,
true.
no, no. We need to give. I think Wolverine needs him a proper Asian girl again.
Well, they killed her. Remember?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Right. It was a tragic story. But anyway, just by the way, you should probably spell your dog's name CY, not SI. But nevertheless, just a little bit of etymological, free offer
You
for you.
see, listen, it's funny because I actually suggested that to the wife, and she's like, "No, I don't like it." All right,
That would be the correct way, though.
all right, it's fine.
Just
The
tell her that.
Penguin Films
Well,
after Thanksgiving.
tell her that a
New look.
philologist said so.
Chester, I'm gonna tell you right now, your credentials are gonna move her naught.
All right.
There will be
So
no concern.
I am degreed.
She
Wow.
worked with too many doctors and nurses to give a shit about how many letters people have after their names.
Okay.
The Penguin Films after Thanksgiving, a new look at Colin Farrell. Oh, Colin. Oh, Colin.
It's just a love affair. Now, here's the hope from these guys, and I wanted to end on a happy note because here's the hope. This is an 8-part series showing him come to power, and the idea is this: after the last movie, there's a vacuum, there's a power vacuum, right? Because the big guy's gone, right? The boss, the crime boss. This 8-part series is about how the Penguin takes over and becomes the new boss, and then the next Batman movie picks up with that as its kind of hardline story that's going on. You know they're going to have other stuff going on around it as well, but Batman coming back and having to deal with the Penguin. Now, I love it. I hope and they said, but they did say in this article, because they actually speak to the creators here, that they're going to see how the 8-part series goes, but that's their plan. I hope it goes well. I hope everyone loves it. I'm going to watch it. I know that. I won't get HBO Max for it, but there's other ways. But dude, Colin Farrell absolutely murders everything he's in, and his little bits in that movie is freaking epic, dude. I mean, my God. So I hope this is just a killer 8-part series. And what do you guys think about the next Batman, the Batman, having the main through storyline being of Batman dealing with Penguin?
I think that's brilliant.
I love it. Yeah.
I have no opinion because I did not watch the Batman movie because I had too many race swaps.
Well, fair. That's fair. But it is a good movie though, dude. It is. Yeah.
The race swaps have become a deal breaker.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
They have made it. I used to let shit like that slide, but nowadays I don't give a fuck if it's a minor character or not. If I find out the nigga's been race swapped, done.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm not giving them no leeway.
The Catwoman though, Eartha Kitt, of course, did it way back. They've we've had black ladies as her on several occasions. Haley Berry as well.
Yes, but
the Gordon
in the
one,
66,
I get it.
the 66 series, if I'm not mistaken, they never. I could be wrong. I don't remember them ever calling her Selena Kyle.
No, maybe not. Haley Berry definitely got called that. But whatever. I understand your point 100%. I do get it. And of course, changing Gordon out is just dumb. Luckily, though, they did get a great actor to do him, so there is that. But I get it. I get it. But I did enjoy it. I know Thundera loved it.
I
And
loved it.
Colin Farrell absolutely owns it, dude. He's always
Also,
good.
that Batmobile was ass. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah, no, okay. But once again, this is supposed to be like the early, end of year 1, early year 2 is kind of where we're sat. And he's not really Batman yet. Not really.
I mean, that's fine, but that's still low effort as fuck. Bruce Wayne is smart. Bruce Wayne is smarter, more inventive than that.
Maybe. Yeah, I
That
get your
car
point.
looked like.
Yeah, but I'm still telling you, it's a really good movie. And it's a straight up movie. Yeah. But we're talking about Colin Farrell's Penguin. You can go watch this, because Penguin is still Penguin. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Are you going to watch this Sunday?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
My wife refuses to watch the new Batman too. She's a huge Batman fan, but she refuses to watch it because that F word we're not allowed to say on YouTube. She doesn't want to watch Batman be a gay version of that, basically, because she doesn't much like Twinkle Boy, as she calls him.
Oh, Pattinson.
He's not manly enough for her. Pattinson. She wants to fuck Batman, and she doesn't want to fuck Pattinson, so she's out. She said.
All
So
right,
now
fair enough.
there
I
you go.
guess there's a thought pattern with that, but I know.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I both discussed it. It depends on what they do in the next movie.
Yeah.
Pattinson was the least interesting thing in the movie, in my
Yeah.
opinion. But you and I both had talked about it, and we felt
You know
that was the
that's how
intention.
you know what. From now on, that's how they should cast males in fucking Hollywood. We're gonna run one simple test with this guy's wife. Leave her husband to fuck him. If the answer is
Is he
no,
the
you don't
one?
get the
Yeah,
part.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know who my
You got-
wife's is. My wife's is always Keanu Reeves. So
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to understand. You'd be like, yeah, I get it. It's fine. Go ahead.
no, well, and she had a sour look on her face because when she said that so quickly the other day, right? And then
Uh-huh.
of course she asked what I was, and I says I don't have any.
Aw.
Bam, sledgehammer. But the thing is, it's a truthful statement. I can't think of any chick that would be, especially some celebrity. I can't think of anyone. Not one.
that
Can
you
you?
would that you would leave your wife for, that you would just go bang if
Yeah,
your wife
either
said it was
way.
fine.
Either way. Name one.
Oh, I can think of
Name
a few
one.
I would just bang.
Like
just
who?
for the sake of saying Gal Gadot.
The
I'd bang the hell out of
Stallion?
her. But no, definitely not her.
Now, Gal
No,
Gadot's
there's a
nowhere
few.
near pretty enough, dude. Not
Oh,
even
you're
close.
crazy.
Not
She's
even
pretty.
close, skinny bitch.
She don't have any kind of body, but she's pretty.
I can't think of any
Yeah,
Hollywood
but
person that's interesting to
cute
me.
face ain't enough to fuck. You got to give me something to grab.
Listen, if you get
See,
you're telling me
Grimlock
you
knows.
wouldn't want. I agree, but you're telling me you wouldn't want the clout of saying I fucked one.
No,
No.
don't give a shit. Yeah,
I
not
would.
even a little bit.
I
But I can't really think of anyone.
Well, the problem isn't that there's not women out there that are hot enough for it. The problem is that Hollywood refuses to promote them in any kind of meaningful way.
No, well,
because
that's
they're
But
probably the
you already know my type. Fuck being
Oh,
able to say I fucked Gal Gadot. I'm gonna say I fucked Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even know
Rhea.
who that is.
Rhea could get it. You wouldn't like Rhea. She's too much. She's too muscular for you. She's too much for you. Too much in your. I know what you like.
She's right up. She's right up Ben's alley. He likes the Mossy broads.
Yeah. Big Australian chick.
No clue. All right.
But she's got a great big old ass, and I like that.
Yeah. Well.
All
right.
See, you put me on the spot, and now none are coming to mind.
Yeah,
if you asked me this 15 years ago, there's a whole plethora before Hollywood got ugly. But now Hollywood is so damn like a young Scarlett Johansson. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Nah.
Yep.
Nowadays, my entire life. Because Hollywood actresses tend to be short.
I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna commit a little black on Jewish violence. That one.
No, one did just come to my head, but it's from the 80s.
Young Selma.
No. Phoebe Cates.
look at Ben like I like Rhea a lot.
I do like Rhea a lot. Okay, I don't know who it is, but Phoebe Cates comes to mind. But that she's an old lady now.
Yeah, Phoebe. Yeah, back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Your cousin back in the day.
What?
It's not my fault your cousin's hot, bro. That's your problem. I can't help it.
That's fair. Yeah. But you got to keep in mind though. The last time I really saw her, she was just a little 14-year-old girl.
Yeah.
She wasn't nothing.
That's
right?
before the cups filled in.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. She was just a little thing. So whatever.
No, that's really the problem. It's not so much that there's, like I said, not that there's none out there. It's just that Hollywood has been on this. Every chick needs to be played.
Yeah, like Chester, like you'd leave your wife to fuck Millie Bobby Brown. Come on, man.
Who's that?
You know who that is. Don't you play dumb. That's the Stranger Things girl.
Oh, the little ugly girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ain't leaving your wife, man.
No, I ain't. No, I ain't.
No, Hollywood at one time is supposed to have the women that were so beautiful that if you cheated on your wife, she wouldn't be mad. She'd be impressed that you could actually score something like that.
Right. That's where the worst glamour comes from.
Good job, honey. Good job.
Yeah, exactly. Like if I'm married and my wife finds out that I cheated on her with Selma Hayek, like I didn't think you could get something that fine.
Get a prime
Well
Selma.
done. Did you get any of her money? That she'd be more upset if I didn't get any of Selma's money.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's
is fair.
actually true.
Yeah.
You get paid? Well, what are you doing? Go back there and fuck her again.
yeah, fuck her again.
Yeah.
Knock her off.
I just don't think like you guys, I guess. But nevertheless, I am late, so I need to go. Am I late? Yeah, I'm late. I gotta go. So, interesting day.
Well, he's black after all. Starts late, leaves late.
No, that's not true. Nevertheless, I gotta go. So Grimlock, closing comments, please.
Hope everybody had a safe and happy Thanksgiving. We are in the end of the year, just about. Let's knock out this last month, hopefully safely and soundly. And rest in peace to Chester's doggone.
Yeah, that's true. Alan, I'm not into pudding diving.
Pudding diving.
Although I do like chocolate pudding, though. I do like that.
I would say this: if Chester cheated on his wife with Lizzo, I would disown him. I would divorce him. Nah, I can't be. Nah, get out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
But if I came up wearing a snorkel, holding that famous flute, now that would be something.
Oh God! Oh,
well, I'll put it this way: it'd probably be a more interesting adventure than the last Indiana Jones movie.
Whoa! Yeah, yeah, that was pretty bad. But those same people that made that movie are now making the new Tomb Raider. So get ready.
Yay!
We do the movie with Chester sitting in the library. Tell us, old bean, how did you survive that ordeal?
One franchise where it would be perfectly acceptable by everybody to just cast a really hot woman to play Lara Croft, and everybody be like, "Yeah, that makes sense, Lara Croft."
Well, the last iteration they had of her, she was cute.
Yeah, but she's not Lara Croft. Lara Croft she's like the James Bond of women. You're supposed to want to fuck her.
Yes,
right? Like for men, you're supposed to be like, "Oh, hello," young Angelina Jolie back in the day. Yeah, that outfit. Whole bunch of nerds had their girlfriends dress up in this particular outfit for a very long time.
Oh yeah,
for a reason.
And we are not upset about it. Go ahead.
Yeah,
you're making me later.
Mine's very simple. Chester's favorite one: the master's not the one who completes his training. The master's the one who never stops.
That's true. Namaste. Later, everybody.